Blowout day, 5 games, 5 brutal margin, all on the same Friday in April 2025. That day, it set the record for the most 30-point blowouts ever crammed into one NBA schedule. Not 4, 5. And every single one of those games looked like somebody hit the simulation button and walked away. It started with Miami. They dropped 153 on New Orleans, outscoring them by 49. That wasn't just a beatdown, it was an explosion. Then Boston stepped in and put Charlotte in a blender, winning by 36. Charlotte couldn't catch a break on either end. Oklahoma City wasn't subtle about it either. They ran through Utah by 34 and didn't look back. The Lakers handled Houston with a 31-point win. And even though that wasn't the worst margin, it still felt like Houston showed up late and left early. And finally, Chicago casually closed out the evening with a 30-point thumping of Washington. 5 different blowouts, 5 different cities, all in one day. That single day's chaos boosted the season's total blowouts to 79. That tied the all-time record, which had only been hit once before in the 2021 to 2022 season. Before this, the most 30-point blowouts in one day was 4. The league had never seen 5 before. What made it wild wasn't just the margins, it was the fact that these weren't all top-seeded powerhouses beating up on bottom feed. The teams involved were all over the stand. The scoring was off the charts too. Miami's 153 and Oklahoma City's 145 both blew past the season average. No other regular season or playoff day in league history had seen this kind of collective collapse. It was pure statistical mayhem. J.R. Smith case. Back in March of 2016, J.R. Smith found himself at the center of a civil lawsuit tied to an incident outside a Manhattan nightclub. Man named Justin Brown filed the suit, asking for $2,500,000 in damage. Brown claimed he was physically injured and emotionally distressed after an encounter with Smith late one night in Chelsea. According to the complaint, Brown said he approached Smith around 4 in the morning after Smith had exited One Oak, a well-known nightclub in the area. Brown asked for a photo. That was the spark. He alleged that after turning down the request, Smith got physical, choking him and striking him in the head and neck. The lawsuit wasn't about small claims. It focused on alleged physical harm, emotional trauma, and the kind of damages that come with a headline-friendly number. Smith's legal team pushed back quickly, denying any wrongdoing and even suggesting a possible counterclaim for defamation. They made it very clear they were ready to defend aggressively if it came to that. This wasn't just whispered about online. Outlets like ESPN, BET, Slam Online, and CBS Sports all covered the story in real time. But despite the buzz, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office didn't file any criminal charges. After their investigation, they chose not to pursue it. So this played out strictly in civil court territory. There was no arrest, no trial, just paperwork, lawyers, and a very public conversation about what did or didn't happen on that sidewalk outside the club. Smith's side never wavered from their denial, and the case remained in the civil sphere. No judge handed down a criminal sentence, but the story made waves anyway. It was one of those off-court moments that kept his name in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. Blackout game. It was supposed to be the biggest street ball showdown Harlem had ever seen. Rucker Park, August 14th, 2003. The hype? Off the charts. Jay-Z and Fat Joe had each put together star-packed squads for a 6 p.m. tip-off. But just hours before the first whistle, New York City lost power. A historic blackout shut it all down. Thousands were already swarming Rucker by the afternoon. People lined the fences, waiting for NBA stars to show up and settle a score that wasn't just about basketball. It was hip-hop pride, borough loyalty, and summertime heat, all in one. Then, right around mid-afternoon, the city went dark. No lights, no sound, no game. Jay-Z's team, known as S. Carter, was rumored to include names like Lamar Odom, Kenyon Martin, Jamal Crawford, and Sebastian Telfair. Some reports even floated LeBron James and Shaq. On the other side, Fat Joe's Terror Squad was expected to bring Allen Iverson, Carmelo Anthony, Jermaine O'Neal, Stephon Marbury, and Yao Ming. The lineups were never confirmed with the score sheet, but the names came from multiple sources that had covered the event buildup. Organizers tried to come up with quick solutions, including streetlight setups and portable lighting, but police stepped in and shut it down. Any talk of a reschedule fizzled out in the following days. There were rumors about Madison Square Garden, or pushing it to later in the summer, but nothing ever happened. The blackout itself affected millions across the Northeast, and Rucker Park wasn't spared. So what could have been the greatest street ball clash in history ended up being remembered as the one that got away. No buzzer beaters, no box scores, just a legendary game that never tipped off and a story that keeps getting told every summer. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Nike stock deal. In 1973, Spencer Haywood was a rising all-star with Seattle and one of the NBA's most dominant forwards. At that time, Nike was a small Oregon-based startup trying to crack into basketball shoes. Phil Knight, Nike's founder, approached Haywood with a proposal, not just for sneakers, but for something bigger. Nike didn't have deep cash reserves, so the offer came in. Two parts, $100,000 up front and equity, reportedly 10% ownership of the company. The idea of stock in a shoe company didn't turn many heads back then. Endorsements weren't built on equity. That world hadn't arrived yet. Haywood agreed to the deal, but gave his agent power of attorney. That's when everything changed. The agent decided to sell off the equity for immediate cash, believing Nike wouldn't last against bigger brands like Adidas or Converse. As a result, Haywood walked away with just the $100,000 and none of the stock. That 10%, based on Nike's growth, it'd be worth an estimated $2.7 billion today. That's not an exaggeration. Several financial outlets have done the math using Nike's current market value. Haywood could have been wealthier than most players in league history without ever touching another paycheck. Haywood's talked about it over the years. He admitted didn't understand equity back then. Athletes had no long-term financial education, no guidance on tech startups, and no idea what that stock could turn into. But he's never shown public bitterness. He focused on his career and what he did accomplish. At the time, Nike had barely expanded beyond running shoes. Sneaker deals were a new game entirely. What happened with Haywood became a cautionary tale in both sports and business, showing exactly how one signature could cost someone billions. Draymond Green's 4-point triple-double. On February 10th, 2017, Draymond Green recorded something no one in NBA history had ever done, a triple-double, without scoring 10 points. Golden State beat Memphis 122-107 that night. But the real headline came from Green's stat sheet. He finished with 4 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists, 10 steals, and 5 blocks. That's not a typo. He hit double digits in everything except scoring. According to Elias Sports Bureau, no one had ever logged a triple-double without at least 10 points until Draymond pulled it off. He also became just the second player in league history to record at least 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and 10 steals in a single game. The only other time that happened? Back in 1986, when Alvin Robertson did it. The steals alone would have been historic. 10 of them set a franchise record for Golden State and marked the league's first 10-steal game since 2009. And he wasn't just swiping the ball. Green also added 5 blocks, stacking up defensive numbers like he was playing on cheat mode. With that kind of impact on the floor, Golden State outscored Memphis by 26 when he was in the game. This wasn't just an odd stat line, it was defensive dominance disguised as a box score glitch. Triple-doubles usually rely on scoring, not this one. Green's playmaking and defense filled every column. It broke the mold and rewrote what a triple-double could even mean. The combo of double-digit assists, steals, and rebounds, plus 5 blocks, was unlike anything seen before. No one else in NBA history has matched that exact stat mix in a single game. Draymond didn't need to score 10. He just needed to wreck everything else. Marbury statue in China. After leading the Beijing Ducks to their first ever championship in the Chinese Basketball Association back in 2012, Stephon Marbury didn't just earn praise, he got a full bronze statue outside the Ducks arena in Beijing. A statue, life-sized, in bronze, in a country he wasn't even born in. The idea didn't come from a marketing team. Fans actually started the push. At the time, league rules made it impossible for foreign players to win official MVP awards, even if they played like it was their league. And Marbury did. So instead of an MVP trophy, the city of Beijing gave him medal immortality. The statue unveiling became a whole event. Former NBA player Dennis Rodman even showed up and spoke during the ceremony. And this wasn't just a one-off gesture. Marbury's statue was only the beginning of his transformation from former NBA outcast to full-blown cultural icon overseas. Marbury went on to lead Beijing to multiple titles. Not just that first one in 2012, his impact stretched well beyond basketball courts too. He got his face on a postage stamp. A museum was built in his honor. Not a wing in a museum, a whole museum. The statue represents how Marbury turned a career that seemed over into one of the most surprising comeback arcs in modern basketball. In China, he wasn't just a player, he became a symbol of hard work, resilience, and second chances. His legacy there isn't just about points or rings, it's about how he connected with a culture, a fan base, and a country that embraced him. Most players dream of a statue at their home arena. Marbury got his on another continent, and in Beijing, he's not just remembered, he's bronzed. Alaska-born NBA players. Out of every player who's made it to the NBA, only 2 have been officially born in Alaska, Mario Chalmers and Daishin Nix. That's it. Not raised there, not played a tournament there, born. Mario Chalmers was born on May 19th, 1986 in Anchorage. He played high school ball at Bartlett High, then became a star at Kansas before getting drafted in 2008. He ended up winning 2 championships with Miami and hit one of the most iconic shots in college history along the way. Then there's Daishin Nix. He was born in Fairbanks on February 13th, 2002, and grew up in Anchorage. Later, he moved to Las Vegas to play prep basketball, skipped college, and went through the G League route before debuting with Houston. He's listed on multiple databases as being Alaska-born, with Fairbanks as his birthplace and Anchorage as his early hometown. Now, there are a few other names that always come up when people talk about Alaska basketball, but they don't count under this category. Carlos Boozer, he was raised in Alaska, but was born in West Germany on a military base, so he's not part of this 2-man list. Trajan Langdon, same story. Grew up in Anchorage but born elsewhere. JT Thor, he has Alaska ties, but inconsistent birthplace info across sources. So officially, when it comes to players born in Alaska who've played in the NBA, it's Mario Chalmers and Daishin Nix. That's the full list. No hidden names, no technicalities. Just 2 players from the 49th state, making it all the way to the league. And considering how rare that is, it makes both of their careers stand out even more. Every NBA journey is unique, but theirs started further north than almost anyone else's. Walt Dropo's draft decision back in the mid-1940s. Walt Dropo was a 3-sport monster at the University of Connecticut, excelling in football, basketball, and baseball. He graduated as UConn's all-time leading basketball scorer, but his athletic resume didn't stop there. By the time he left school, he had been drafted by the NFL, the BAA, and was being courted by Major League Baseball. In 1946, the Chicago Bears took him 74th overall in the NFL draft. A year later, in 1947, he was picked 4th overall in the BAA draft by the Providence Steamrollers. That league would later become the NBA. 4th overall, he was considered one of the top basketball prospects in the country, but instead of stepping onto an NFL field or BAA court, Dropo signed a baseball deal with the Boston Red Sox. The offer? A check handed to him on the spot at Fenway Park by Red Sox owner Tom Yawkey. The moment he saw it, all his other options vanished. It wasn't a strange decision at the time. Baseball offered guaranteed money and real stability. Basketball and football were still building their pro leagues. Players in those sports were making far less, and contracts were anything but secure. Dropo debuted in the major leagues in 1949 and made history in 1950. That rookie season, he batted .322, hit 34 home runs, led the league with 144 runs batted in, and won American League Rookie of the Year. He also led in total bases and finished 6th in MVP voting. By the end of his 13-year career, he had racked up over 700 runs batted in, 152 home runs, and a solid .270 batting average. He became a baseball star and a footnote in basketball history as one of the highest NBA picks to never play a game, Shaq's only 3. In a career that stretched across 19 seasons and over 1,200 games, Shaq made exactly 1 3-pointer, 1 out of 22 attempts. That's it. And somehow, that single shot has its own bizarre corner in NBA history. It happened on February 16th, 1996, when Shaq was still with Orlando. They were playing Milwaukee. 2 seconds left in the first quarter. Heaved it from deep, it banked off the glass, and dropped through. He didn't try to celebrate like a guard. He jogged back like it was just another layup. But that would be the only time it ever happened. His final stat line, from behind the arc, 1 for 22. That's a career 3-point percentage of about 4.5, which, let's be honest, is lower than some players' turnover averages. Shaq's game didn't stretch the floor. It crushed it. He wasn't drifting to the perimeter. He was breaking backboards and bullying the paint. His entire scoring style lived under the rim. The league had the 3-point line every season of his career, but he just didn't care about it. To put this in perspective, he scored over 28,500 points, made 15 All-Star appearances, won 4 titles, earned 3 Finals MVPs, grabbed over 13,000 rebounds, and hit 1 3, a single deep ball in an avalanche of dunks, hooks, and putbacks. Back then, even other big men tried a few threes, but Shaq, no interest. His presence inside was too much of a guarantee. Why float when you can steamroll? That one make isn't just a trivia answer. It's a weird little flag stuck in the middle of an unstoppable career. A reminder that even the most dominant big man ever had one random moment of long-range success and then never did it again. Giddey's back-to-back triple-double. On November 5th, 2025, Josh Giddey dropped 29 points, grabbed 15 rebounds, and dished out 12 assists in a 113-111 win over the Sixers. That wasn't just a huge stat line. It made him the first Chicago Bulls player since Michael Jordan to record consecutive triple-doubles. That's right. Not Derrick Rose, not Jimmy Butler, not even Scottie Pippen. The last time someone pulled off back-to-back triple-doubles in a Bulls jersey was Jordan, way back in the 1988-89 season. It had been over 35 years since anyone matched that kind of all-around production. Giddey had already posted a triple-double the game before, and following it up with another one meant he joined one of the rarest statistical clubs in Bulls history. It wasn't just about scoring, he filled every column. Points, boards, dimes, all in double digits, twice in a row. Jordan's triple-doubles back then came during his brief run at point guard, when he decided to casually dominate every part of the stat sheet. Giddey's not doing it with the same scoring volume, but the overall impact, it's hard to ignore. He's showing that same versatility, not as a replica of Jordan, but as someone controlling tempo, finding teammates, and crashing the glass. For a franchise that's seen some legendary names, this stat still stood untouched for decades. Giddey becoming the one to break that drought speaks volumes about how unique his game is. He's not padding stats. He's running the floor, making plays, and hitting the numbers that have Bulls fans and stat heads digging into old history books. 2 games, 2 triple-doubles, one rare connection to a 6-time champion, C.J. Watson's 1-1 game on April 4th, 2013, while playing for the Brooklyn Nets against the Chicago Bulls. C.J. Watson managed one of the weirdest stat lines you'll ever see in an NBA box score. In 13 minutes of game time, he recorded exactly 1 point, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block, and 1 turnover, 1 across the board. This wasn't some late game throwaway shift either. He played enough to make noise, and somehow touched nearly every part of the game exactly once. That kind of balance is strange enough, but for it to happen across multiple categories including defense, that's where it gets bizarre. Statistically, most players in limited minutes will post something uneven. A couple of rebounds, maybe 2 assists, zeros elsewhere. But this was pure symmetry. 1 in every major category, for no real reason. It just happened. The steal and block especially stand out. Players can go full games without recording either, even in 30-minute stretches. Watson did both, plus the rest, in barely over 10 minutes. There are only a handful of stat lines in league history that match that exact pattern, and most of them don't come from rotation guards playing against their former team. There's no headline here about a career night or a game winner. Watson's contribution that day was a complete statistical oddity. It wasn't impactful in a traditional sense, but it was perfect in its own weird little way. NBA fans and stat nerds still reference this game when talking about the strangest box scores ever. It's not flashy, it's not dominant, but it's unforgettable for anyone who loves box score bingo. 1 point, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block, 1 turnover, the full 1-1 six-pack. DJ Strawberry's NBA story. Born on June 15, 1985 in New York City, DJ Strawberry is the son of legendary Major League Baseball All-Star Darryl Strawberry. But instead of following his dad onto a baseball diamond, he chose basketball and carved out his own path. He played high school ball at Mater Dei in California and gained early attention for his defensive chops, even matching up with LeBron James in a nationally televised game. He took that momentum to the University of Maryland, where from 2003 to 2007, he built a reputation as a tough, versatile guard. In his senior season, he averaged almost 15 points per game, plus solid numbers across the board, and earned all-defensive and second-team All-ACC honors in the 2007 NBA Draft. The Phoenix Suns selected him 59th overall in the second round. He signed a 2-year deal that August and played 33 games during the 2007-08 season. He averaged a little over 2 points per game in 8 minutes per night. Not flashy, but he got real NBA minutes. He also spent time with the Albuquerque Thunderbirds in the D-League, where he won Performer of the Week before getting called back up. After that season, he was traded to the Houston Rockets, but waived before the next year started. That was the end of his NBA chapter. From there, Strawberry went global. He played over a decade overseas in places like Italy, Turkey, France, Spain, Greece, Lithuania, and even Egypt. He won titles in Turkey, in the ABA League, and eventually became a naturalized Cameroonian citizen, going on to represent Cameroon's national team in international competition. He didn't follow his father's path. He built one of his own, across continents, Rodman's silent attack. On December 1st, 1993, Dennis Rodman grabbed 28 rebounds and didn't score a single point, not one. It happened in a game between the San Antonio Spurs and the Charlotte Hornets, and it remains the most rebounds ever recorded in a regular season NBA game by a player who finished with 0 points. That box score is so lopsided, it barely looks real. 28 boards, 0 points, a handful of assists, possibly 3. No clear scoring threat, just pure rebounding dominance. Most players with that kind of rebounding night are expected to put up double-digit points by default, not Rodman. This game wasn't a fluke. It was Rodman doing exactly what he was known for. He's the only player in the league history with multiple games of 20 or more rebounds without scoring. Not 1 or 2 times, he did it 7 times. That includes other games where he pulled down 25 or 24 boards without getting on the scoreboard. What makes this stat line so rare is the total commitment to one aspect of the game. Rodman didn't get his 28 while also pouring in dunks or tipping. He didn't need to. His value came from effort, timing, positioning, and being a menace on the glass. Across his career, Rodman led the league in rebounds per game for 7 straight seasons. He finished with more than 11,900 total rebounds, most of them coming from hustle plays exactly like this. That 28-0 game stands out not just for the number, but for the attitude it represents. A total rejection of the box score norm. Everyone else was chasing buckets. Rodman was chasing the ball and grabbing it 28 times in one night without needing to take a single shot that landed. Bruce Bowen's backward percentages. In the 2002-03 season, Bruce Bowen of the San Antonio Spurs pulled off one of the strangest shooting splits in NBA history. He shot better from three-point range than he did from the free throw line. No, that's not flipped. It's real. He led the entire league in three-point percentage that year, hitting around 44.1% from deep, from long range, on the season. But when he stepped to the free throw line, he shot about 40.4%. That gap, nearly 4% lower on free throws, is one of the rarest statistical reversals in league history. Most players shoot better at the line than they do from the arc. It's closer, it's unguarded, and it's literally a routine. But not for Bowen. He was known for corner threes and defense, not smooth stroke mechanics. So while he could consistently knock down threes from the wing when the ball swung his way, he somehow struggled on the easiest shot in the game. And this didn't happen on tiny volume either. Bowen took real three-point attempts and still topped the league. That season, he played a full role on a championship team. The Spurs won the title that year, and he was guarding elite scorers while quietly making threes at a league-leading clip. But when he got fouled, it turned into a coin toss. Less than a coin toss, actually. It's one of those weird stat quirks that doesn't make sense on paper, but actually happened. A player could hit from 23 feet out with a hand in his face, but couldn't convert from 15 feet with no defender in sight. That was Bruce Bowen in 2003. Pacers' first single-digit pick since 1989, when the Indiana Pacers selected Benedict Mathurin with the 6th overall pick in the 2022 NBA draft. It ended one of the longest streaks in the league. They hadn't made a single-digit first-round pick in 33 years. The last time it happened, 1989. That year, Indiana drafted George McLeod, 7th overall. After that, every single one of their first-round picks came. Outside the top 10, that includes the 13th pick in 2010, when they drafted Paul George, and the 11th pick in 2015 for Miles Turner. So Mathurin at number 6 wasn't just another rookie. He was the first player in over 3 decades to walk into the Pacers locker room as a top 10 pick. From 1990 through 2021, not a single draft slot landed them that high. No top 5 picks, no top 8 picks, nothing. And keep in mind, the Pacers were rarely the kind of team that tanked or gutted their roster for draft position. They hovered in the middle, made playoff pushes, and traded into the teens. That meant staying out of the lottery spotlight for decades, until Mathurin, drafting him 6th overall, made NBA draft history for the franchise. It signaled a shift in their approach, and it marked the first time since the McLeod pick that they actually used a high lottery spot to bring in fresh talent. No trades down, no last-minute slides, just a clean, single-digit selection. That gap from 1989 to 2022 shows how rare it is for some franchises to draft that high. For Indiana, Mathurin became more than a prospect. He was a historical footnote the moment his name got called. Alex Scales, 9-second NBA career. On November 19, 2005, Alex Scales checked into a game for the San Antonio Spurs against the Phoenix Suns. The Spurs were up, the clock was winding down, and Scales was subbed in. He played exactly 9.2 seconds. That was it. That was his entire NBA career. No shots taken, no rebounds, no assists, no fouls, no steals, no turnover, just 9.2 seconds of floor time. And then the final buzzer. Scales had taken a long path to that moment. Born in Racine, Wisconsin, he played college ball at the University of Oregon after starting at San Jacinto College. He went undrafted in the 2000 NBA draft, but built a long pro career overseas. He played everywhere: China, Argentina, Turkey, Russia, Lebanon, South Korea, Spain, you name it. But in the NBA, just that one substitution. 9 days after his debut, the Spurs waived him. He headed to the Austin Tours in the D-League and continued globe hopping for the next decade, winning titles and staying on the grind. But when it comes to NBA records, Scales is etched in trivia as the guy who played 9 seconds and never returned. For a while, that was the shortest career in NBA history. Later, James and Curry would take the title with just 3.9 seconds. Still, Scales' entry and exit in one trip down the court remains one of the league's most surreal stories. He had the skill, the resume, and the experience, but his entire NBA window lasted less time than one offensive possession. A reminder that sometimes making it to the league isn't the hard part. Staying there is. We believe Warriors upset. In the 2007 NBA playoffs, the Golden State Warriors entered as the 8th seed with a 42-40 record. Across the court, the top-seeded Dallas Mavericks, fresh off a 67-15 season, the best record in the league, and led by regular season MVP Dirk Nowitzki. Nobody expected it. Golden State hadn't made the playoffs in over a decade. Dallas had just reached the finals the year before, but what followed became one of the most legendary first-round upsets in NBA history. The Warriors stunned everyone by beating the Mavericks 4-2. It was the first time a number 8 seed had ever eliminated a number 1 seed in a best-of-7 series. Prior upsets by 8 seeds, like the Nuggets over the Sonics in 1994 and the Knicks over the Heat in 1999, came in best-of-5 formats. This one rewrote the rules. Golden State took Game 1 in Dallas, then stormed through Games 3 and 4 at home. After dropping Game 5, they closed the series with a dominant 111-86 win in Game 6 at Oracle Arena. The energy in that building was unreal. Led by Baron Davis, Steven Jackson, Jason Richardson, Matt Barnes, and Monte Ellis. The Warriors played fast, aggressive, and fearless. They were coached by Don Nelson, the same coach who once led Dallas and now turned around to knock them out. Dallas came in with 25 more regular season wins. They were supposed to breeze through the first round. Instead, they got run off the floor. The We Believe Warriors didn't just win. They outplayed and outpaced the top team in the league. That series didn't just belong to Golden State, it made history. Darnell Rogers, 5'2". In the world of Division I men's college basketball, where the average player towers over 6 feet, Darnell Rogers made history by standing 5 feet 2 inches tall. That's not a typo. That's the official height. And with that listing, he's believed to be the shortest player to ever suit up on a Division I scholarship roster. He played for Florida Gulf Coast and then transferred to UMBC, the same school that pulled off that famous upset over Virginia. But Rogers didn't just warm the bench, he started games. He scored, he dished assists. At UMBC, he averaged between 8 and 14 points per game, showing he could contribute on both ends despite a massive size disadvantage. Some fans said he looked even shorter on the court, closer to 5 feet flat, but the record books list him at 5'2", and that alone put him in a category no one else shares. There have been undersized guards before, but none listed this short, playing real minutes on a Division I floor against elite competition. Rogers didn't sneak onto a roster as a novelty. He earned his spot, made plays, and kept coming back. His role at UMBC wasn't symbolic, it was strategic. He had speed, court vision, and toughness that gave him real value, even in a sport built for giants. His height didn't stop him, it defined his path. In a game obsessed with wingspan and verticals, Darnell Rogers became a reminder that skill, grit, and basketball IQ still matter, even when you're the smallest guy on the court every single night. But when we talk about these stories, it's fun to get in on the action. And Underdog Fantasy is the best place to get in on all the action. The way it works is simple. You just pick whether players go higher or lower on their stats, and you build an entry in seconds. For this week, I'm riding with a 2-pick entry I really like. I've got Brandon Miller, higher than 30.5 points, plus rebounds, plus assists. He's getting the usage, the minutes, and the green light, and that combo number lines up perfectly. Then I'm pairing that with Kenneth Walker III, higher than 16.25 fantasy points in the big game. If he gets his normal workload, that projection is very reachable. I threw $50 on this entry, and if both picks hit, it's a 3 times payout. That's why I love Underdog. Simple picks, clean sweat, and real upside. If you want to play along, download the Underdog app today and use promo code EXPLAIN to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code EXPLAINed. Underdog. Make picks. Win money. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, and 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. You must be present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, or Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Cade Cunningham. He was once hyped as one of the next LeBrons, and while that label gets thrown around like confetti, Cade actually gave people reasons to say it. Back in Arlington, Texas, he showed early signs of dominance, then leveled up at Montverde Academy with an undefeated senior season. By college, he was torching the Big 12 at Oklahoma State with over 20 points a game and racking up every award they had lying around. He went first overall in the 2021 draft, and not long after, people were pointing to his stat lines and comparing them to LeBron's early days. He even outdid LeBron's age record with a 25-8-8 game that included 5 3-pointers. That got loud. Then came the injury, left shin stress fracture, season done. But instead of fading out, he came back like nothing happened. 22.7 points, 7.5 assists. New max deal worth $269 million. The next season, even better. He averaged 26.1 points and ranked top 10 in scoring and assists. He made his first All-Star game, landed All-NBA, and pushed Detroit into the playoffs for the first time in 6 years. In the postseason, he dropped a playoff triple-double and averaged 25 points, nearly 9 assists, and over 8 boards. So, is he the next LeBron? Not really, but he's carved out his own lane. Cooper Flagg. He started in tiny Newport, Maine, but his game was never small. As a freshman at Nokomis, he stacked over 20 points, 10 boards, and nearly 4 blocks a game. Then became the first freshman to win Maine's Top Player Award. After transferring to Montverde, he helped them go undefeated, grabbed multiple national awards, and proved he belonged in every top recruit convo. By the time he hit Duke, the next LeBron buzz was heating up. He dropped 42 points in an ACC game, set school records, and led Duke to the Final Four. And yeah, he won so many awards that his trophy shelf probably needs its own insurance policy. After one college season, he went first overall to Dallas in the 2025 draft. His summer debut was rocky, but he immediately bounced back with a 31-point performance. He got praised by Shaq for how calm he looked, and LeBron himself complimented his maturity and versatility. Analysts keep comparing his IQ and Polish to LeBron's early days. One executive even said he's the most complete 18-year-old since LeBron. Scalabrine called him a basketball supercomputer. The Mavericks got a top pick who's already being compared to one of the greatest ever. But unlike a lot of names thrown into the next LeBron fire, Cooper's done nothing but earn the attention. From high school to college to the pros, everything points toward a player who's not overwhelmed by the noise. He's building something real. R.J. Barrett. Coming out of Canada, he already had buzz before he hit the States. After dominating high school ball in Mississauga, he transferred to Montverde and led them to an undefeated season, sweeping all major high school awards. The first player to do that since LeBron. That kicked off the next LeBron talk. At Duke, he didn't slow down. He averaged over 22 points, nearly 8 boards, and 4 assists a game, while also grabbing first-team All-American, ACC Player of the Year, and dropping 33 points in his very first game. He even recorded one of Duke's rare triple-doubles. Then came the draft. He was taken 3rd overall by New York in 2019. Before turning 21, he had already put up over 2,000 points, 500 rebounds, and 300 assists. Only a few names have done that, and yes, LeBron's one of them. He averaged around 18 points over 4.5 seasons with the Knicks, but didn't quite reach that superstar tier. In 2023, he got traded to Toronto, and things picked up. He dropped 37 points in one game, earned his first triple-double, and averaged 21 points, over 6 rebounds, and 5 assists in the following season. LeBron comparisons were strong early, especially after the high school awards sweep. Head-to-head, Barrett's held his own statistically, but over time, it's clear there's still a big gap between promise and that legendary legacy. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Anthony Davis. He wasn't always a giant, but by the time he hit his senior year in Chicago, he'd grown into a 6'10" shot-blocking nightmare. He went from an unknown charter school guard to the top high school recruit in the country. Then at Kentucky, he wrecked the paint, set records in blocks, and led them to a national title while stacking awards like Defensive Player of the Year and Most Outstanding Player. No one questioned why he went first in the 2012 draft. In New Orleans, he exploded onto the scene. He made the All-Rookie team, earned All-Star nods, led the league in blocks, and stacked All-NBA and All-Defense honors. By the time he got traded to the Lakers in 2019, he was already feared. That same year, he went off with a 40-point, 20-rebound game in just 30 minutes, and later helped them win a championship in 2020. He signed a massive deal, kept stuffing stat sheets, and added an NBA Cup win in 2023 with a monster performance. He ended up winning a championship with LeBron. By 2025, he was traded to Dallas in a deal that shook the league. In his debut, he dropped 26 points, 16 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 blocks. The comparisons to LeBron when he was young came less from hype and more from impact. He redefined the modern big. He's won 3 golds with Team USA, been an All-Star 10 times, and continues to anchor elite-level play no matter what jersey he's wearing. O.J. Mayo. Back when most kids were worried about algebra, he was dropping 23 points per game in 7th grade against high schoolers. By the time he hit his senior year, he was putting up nearly 30 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists a night across multiple schools. He had a state title, 2 Mr. Basketball awards, and the label everyone tosses around carelessly, the next LeBron. At USC, he played 1 strong season, averaging over 20 points and earning All-Pac 10 honors. He went 3rd in the 2008 draft and got traded to Memphis on day 1. Right away, he showed out, 2nd in Rookie of the Year voting, All-Rookie First Team, and flashed the kind of scoring talent that got him all that attention in the first place. But it didn't last. He averaged nearly 14 points across 8 NBA seasons with Memphis, Dallas, and Milwaukee. But suspensions and inconsistency started to chip away at the shine. A 10-game suspension in 2011, a fight over a card game, and eventually a fractured ankle, and a league ban in 2016 for violating the anti-drug policy. After the NBA, he bounced overseas, Puerto Rico, China, Russia, Egypt, and finally transitioned to coaching in 2024. The LeBron comparisons were built on raw talent and early dominance. But unlike LeBron's 20-plus year legacy, Mayo's career veered off course early and never made it back. Victor Wembanyama. They called him the most hyped prospect since LeBron. And honestly, he gave them plenty of reasons. Born in France in 2004, he grew up surrounded by athletes. By age 15, he was already playing pro ball in France. From Nanterre to Asvel to Metropolitans 92, he kept stacking awards. League MVP, best defender, top scorer, rebounder, and blocker. Before he ever touched an NBA court, he had already built a resume that made scouts foam at the mouth. Then the Spurs grabbed him first overall in 2023. His rookie season wasn't just good, it was absurd. He became the first rookie ever to post over 1,500 points, 200 blocks, and 100 threes in a single season. He led the league in blocks, made all-defense first team, and won Rookie of the Year unanimously. His second year started even louder, 50-point games, 5x5 stat lines, and more freaky numbers. He earned an All-Star nod, but got shut down after a deep vein thrombosis diagnosis in his shoulder. At that point, he was averaging over 24 points, 11 rebounds, nearly 4 assists, and led the league again in blocks. In the Olympics, he helped France grab silver and looked dominant. The comparisons to LeBron, those came from his total package: size, skill, IQ, and the way he bends the game. He's not just tall, he's terrifying. And even with the setback, it feels like this is just the beginning. Andrew Wiggins. When he came out of Huntington Prep, people were already throwing around the next LeBron label. He had the bounce, the polish, and every major high school award you could name. Naismith, Gatorade, all of it. He went to Kansas for 1 season, then got picked first overall in 2014 by Cleveland, only to be traded before even suiting up sent to Minnesota for Kevin Love. In Minnesota, he hit the ground running. He won Rookie of the Year, made All-Rookie First Team, and became one of the Timberwolves' franchise leaders in games played and total points. His production was steady, but he didn't quite become the game changer many expected. In 2020, the Warriors picked him up, and everything shifted. He played a key role in their 2022 title run with a massive 26-point, 13-rebound finals game. That same year, he became an all-star. Then in 2025, he was traded to Miami in a 5-team deal. In March, he dropped 42 points to break a brutal losing streak. That season, he averaged 18 points, 4.5 rebounds, and nearly 3 assists while shooting almost 45%. The LeBron comparisons didn't age well. Wiggins himself called them dumb, said no one's gonna be the next LeBron. He's right. The hype was real, but his career turned into something else. Solid, respected, and still going. Just not the LeBron route. Luka, from Slovenia to Spain to the NBA, his rise has been ridiculous. He debuted professionally at 16 with Real Madrid, and by 18, he had already been named EuroLeague MVP, Final Four MVP, and Liga ACB MVP, all in one season. That resume alone put him on the next LeBron radar before he even got drafted. He entered the league in 2018, going 3rd overall and landing in Dallas. Rookie of the Year? Check. All-Rookie First Team? Obviously. Fast forward a few years, and he led the league in scoring while dragging the Mavericks to the NBA Finals. Then came the blockbuster, February 2025. Dallas traded him to the Lakers in a mid-season deal for Anthony Davis. It was the first trade ever to feature 2 All-NBA players mid-year. Luka put up 28 points, over 8 rebounds, and 7.5 assists per game through 28 appearances in Los Angeles. He signed a 3-year deal worth $165 million, becoming the face of the franchise in the post-LeBron era. His numbers are insane. Over 28 points, 8.5 rebounds, and more than 8 assists per game through 450 games. The LeBron talk? It's not wild. From IQ to playmaking to stat lines, he's been pacing ahead of LeBron's early numbers. But Luka's not a copy. He's his own blueprint. And now with the Lakers, he's chasing a legacy that looks less like a shadow and more like a spotlight. Anthony Edwards. He came out of Atlanta with serious hype. 5-star recruit, top of the 2019 class, and already showing flashes of NBA-level athleticism. At Georgia, he averaged over 19 points a game as a freshman and walked away with SEC Freshman of the Year. He went number 1 in the 2020 draft and hit the ground running in Minnesota. His rookie year was strong enough for all rookie honors and a 2nd-place finish in Rookie of the Year voting. Over 5 seasons, he's averaged nearly 24 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists per game. But it's the last couple seasons that pushed him into a different conversation. In 2024, he became the first Timberwolves player to average over 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. Only 3 players, LeBron, Michael Jordan, and Oscar Robertson, had hit 2,000 points, 400 boards, and 400 assists at a younger age. By 2025, he averaged over 27 points, led the league in 3-pointers made, and became the youngest player ever to hit 1,000 made threes. In the playoffs, he's averaging almost 27 points with multiple 40-point performances and 2 straight conference finals appearances. He's drawn LeBron comparisons because of that rare mix of dominance, confidence, and production. Even Shaq compared him to young Kobe and Wade. Edwards called out the pressure, handled the spotlight, and just kept rising. At this point, he's earned his place in the conversation without needing anyone else's legacy. Paolo Banchero. He came into the league with a polished game, and in just 3 seasons, he's already made it clear he's the guy in Orlando. Born in Seattle, he was a 2-sport athlete in high school before locking in on basketball and averaging over 22 points, 11 boards, and nearly 4 assists by his junior year. At Duke, he led them to the Final Four and averaged over 17 points per game as a freshman. He was picked 1st overall in the 2022 draft and didn't wait to make noise. 27 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 blocks in his debut. Only LeBron had a similar stat line in their first game. He won Rookie of the Year and quickly became the focal point of the Magic offense. His 2nd year, an All-Star selection and a jump to over 22 points per game. Then came 2025. He dropped 50 points in the season opener, missed time with a torn oblique, then came back and casually scored 36 with 10 rebounds. He finished that season averaging nearly 26 points across 46 games. In the playoffs, he's averaged 28 points over 12 career games and hit nearly 45% from deep this past postseason. The LeBron comparisons still pop up. His size, scoring, and poise have kept him could be the best in the East conversation. Orlando clearly agrees. They gave him $239 million to stay and lead their next era. Ben Simmons. He came into the league with hype and expectations that were bigger than his jump shot. Born in Melbourne, moved to Florida, and starred at Montverde, where he was named National Player of the Year. After one season at LSU, where he averaged big numbers but missed the NCAA tournament, he went first overall in the 2016 draft. In Philly, things started strong. Rookie of the Year, All-Star appearances, All-Defense honors, and triple-doubles that had people whispering about LeBron comparisons. LeBron even said Simmons could be better than him if he put in the work. But in the 2021 playoffs, things unraveled. He passed up an open dunk in Game 7, shot 34% from the line, and suddenly that LeBron talk dried up. He held out, got traded to Brooklyn, and spent more time on injury reports than on the court, 90 games in 3 years. By 2025, Brooklyn waived him. He signed a minimum deal with the Clippers and had a decent debut, 12 points, 7 boards, 6 assists. But no one's throwing around LeBron comparisons now. That label, Next LeBron, didn't survive the injuries, the confidence collapse, or the brutal playoff missteps. Today, Simmons is a role player trying to reset his career, not a franchise savior. The skill was real, the flashes were real, but the full picture? Nowhere close to the path LeBron carved out. Zion Williamson. From the moment he exploded onto the scene in high school with gravity-defying dunks, the Next LeBron talk kicked into overdrive. At Spartanburg Day School, he was a 5-star phenom, winning state titles while breaking backboards on YouTube. Then came Duke, where he averaged over 22 points and nearly 9 rebounds, while shooting an absurd 68% from the field. He won every college award they could print and went first overall in the 2019 draft. His rookie debut, 22 points and 7 boards in limited minutes. And then he rattled off one of the longest streaks, a 20-point, 50% shooting games by a rookie in league history. By 2021, he was an all-star and dropping 30-plus points on insane efficiency, like that 14 for 15 shooting night that put him in rare company. The problem has never been his talent. It's been staying on the court. He missed the entire 2022 season with a foot injury, and in 2025, he only played 30 games, sidelined again by a hamstring issue and a backbone contusion. He's averaged nearly 25 points per game on almost 60% shooting across his career, but every season has felt like a cliffhanger. The LeBron comparison made sense in terms of impact and freakish ability, but now, at 25, it's about whether he can stay healthy long enough to write his own legacy instead of being just another what-if. Jabari Parker. He was that guy in high school, won 4 straight state titles at Simeon in Chicago, and was crowned Player of the Year by just about every outlet that mattered. At Duke, he looked like the real deal, averaged over 19 points, pulled down rebounds, hit threes, and collected awards. By the 2014 draft, he was neck and neck with Andrew Wiggins for top pick talk, and the next LeBron buzz was hanging in the air. He went second overall to Milwaukee, started strong, and then came the first ACL tear. He bounced back, looked solid, then tore it again. After that, things never quite got back on track. He played for 6 teams, over 8 NBA seasons: Bucks, Bulls, Wizards, Hawks, Kings, Celtics, and never stuck long enough to regain that early momentum. He still averaged about 14 points and over 5 boards per game on nearly 50% shooting, but the injuries and the defensive struggles made him expendable fast. Eventually, the NBA door started closing. Then came Barcelona. He signed overseas in 2023, dropped 34 points in 1 game, the club's highest in over a decade, and kept his career alive. By 2025, he was with Partizan Belgrade in Serbia, playing in the EuroLeague and ABA League. The LeBron comparison? A draft day headline, more than anything else. In head-to-head matchups, LeBron dominated the stat sheets and won 10 of 13 games. Parker had the hype, but the path split early and stayed that way. Ja Morant. He wasn't a blue-chip recruit coming out of high school, but by his second season at Murray State, he became the first NCAA player ever to average 20 points and 10 assists in a season. He went second overall in the 2019 draft and immediately became the face of the Memphis Grizzlies. He won Rookie of the Year, earned multiple All-Star selections, grabbed a Most Improved Player award, and made All-NBA. His career averages through 6 seasons sit at over 22 points, 7 assists, and nearly 5 rebounds per game. In 2025, he put up 23 points and over 7 assists across 50 games. The LeBron comparison was more for his highlight, dunks and playmaking flair, he's also had his share of turbulence. He missed games in 2025 due to foot soreness, a hip injury in the playoffs, and fell short of award eligibility by not reaching 65 games. Off the court, he's had repeated issues, suspensions, fines, and NBA warnings over gun gesture celebrations. He was fined $75,000 in 2025 after ignoring league warnings. Despite everything, the Grizzlies front office still backs him as their franchise star. LeBron carved out a legacy through dominance and durability. Ja's path has been much louder and bumpier, but his raw talent keeps him in the spotlight, even as the comparisons stay mostly at arm's length. Marvin Bagley. Back in high school, he was the #1 guy in the entire class of 2017. He reclassified early, dominated at Sierra Canyon, and was putting up nearly 25 points and over 10 boards per game. Then he took that momentum straight to Duke and didn't slow down at all. In his one college season, he averaged 21 points and 11 rebounds, shot over 61% from the field, and won both ACC Player of the Year and Rookie of the Year. No surprise, he was named a consensus first-team All-American. There was early noise about him being the next LeBron. The expectations were still sky high. He got picked second overall in 2018 by Sacramento. His rookie season earned him a spot on the All-Rookie First Team. Then came Detroit, where he had a couple bright moments, including a game with 21 points and 18 rebounds. He bounced to Washington, had a brief run in Memphis, then went right back to Washington in July 2025. Through 289 games, he's averaged 12 points and 6.5 rebounds. As a starter, 13.6 and 7.5. Markelle Fultz. Coming out of DeMatha Catholic High School, he was one of the top players in the country, a 5-star recruit with McDonald's All-American honors under his belt. Then at Washington, he absolutely filled the stat sheet, averaging over 23 points, nearly 6 rebounds, and almost 6 assists per game in just one season. That earned him first-team All-Pac-12 and third-team All-American honors. So yeah, it made sense when Philadelphia took him first overall in 2017. But right out of the gate, things went sideways. A mysterious shoulder injury, later diagnosed as thoracic outlet syndrome, completely threw off his shooting. Still, he did manage to become the youngest player ever at the time to record a triple-double. In 2019, he landed in Orlando and had a few strong moments, including a 26-point game and a 28-point performance in separate seasons. The production was there when he was healthy, but consistency stayed out of reach. Then came Sacramento in February 2025 after the Kings needed depth at point guard, but his numbers dipped again, averaging just under 3 points per game with limited minutes. He went from the next LeBron to more about what could have been than generational hype. Injuries kept resetting the narrative. By 2025, he'd shifted firmly into a backup role, miles away from the spotlight he once owned as a #1 pick. Bronny James. From the start, his name drew attention. Being LeBron's son made that automatic. But Bronny built his own reputation at Sierra Canyon, especially during his senior season when he earned McDonald's All-American honors. His stats on the EYBL circuit showed balance, with around 11.5 points, nearly 5 rebounds, and close to 4 assists per game. Then came USC. After suffering cardiac arrest in July 2023, Bronny returned by December, less than 5 months later. Over 25 college games, he averaged under 5 points, close to 3 rebounds, and just over 2 assists. It was a quiet season statistically, but given the circumstances, his comeback was huge. He declared for the draft and went 55th overall to the Lakers, joining LeBron to form the first father-son duo in NBA history. He scored his first NBA points that October and appeared in 27 games total, but with limited production, averaging just over 2 points per game on rough shooting percentages. In the G League, though, he exploded, scoring over 21 points per game and dropping 30 or more several times. He's dealt with lingering effects from his heart condition and faced some sharp criticism, including one incident where he skipped a teammate's press conference. Still, there's hope. Coaches believe in his defense, shooting growth, and effort. He's not the next LeBron, but he might still find his own lane in the league. Greg Oden. Coming out of Indiana, he was a high school monster, leading Lawrence North to 3 straight state titles. He swept up every award you could name. Gatorade Player of the Year, Naismith, Indiana, Mr. Basketball. Then at Ohio State, his lone college season was dominant. Nearly 16 points, 10 rebounds, and over 3 blocks per game. He picked up Defensive Player of the Year and was a consensus All-American. In the 2007 draft, Portland made him the top pick, but the celebration didn't last. Right before his rookie season, he needed microfracture surgery and missed the whole year. When he did play, his numbers were solid, around 9 points and 7 rebounds per game, but his knees kept betraying him. He missed season after season, got waived in 2012, and it never really came back around. He tried again with Miami in 2013, got on the court a bit, and even made a playoff appearance. Later, he went to China and actually put up strong numbers, 13 points and 12 rebounds a game with Jiangsu. He retired in 2016. Early on, he called the next LeBron. Although some comparisons leaned more toward dominant centers like David Robinson, his story isn't about legacy records. It's one of potential crushed by injury. Post-retirement, he turned the page, finished his degree, joined college coaching, and fought off personal demons. For a guy who never played more than 105 NBA games, that's a real comeback. Shabazz Muhammad. He came out of Bishop Gorman High School with the kind of hype most players only dream about. He wasn't just winning awards, he was collecting them like trading cards. Mr. Basketball USA, Naismith Prep Player of the Year, MVP of the McDonald's All-American Game, and champion of the Powerade Jam Fest Dunk Contest. At one point, rivals ranked him #1 in the nation. There were even whispers from fans online, tossing his name into next LeBron territory. At UCLA, he backed up the buzz with nearly 18 points and over 5 rebounds per game in his one season. He earned first-team All-Pac-12 and Freshman of the Year. His eligibility situation sparked some brief drama, but once it was cleared up, he stayed on the court and produced. The Timberwolves picked him 14th overall in 2013 after a draft night trade. He had some early success, even making the All-Rookie first team. But after a few years in Minnesota and a short stint with Milwaukee, his NBA chapter closed. Since then, he's bounced around the globe. China, the Philippines, Lebanon, Indonesia, you name it. As of 2025, he's playing in Jakarta. As for the LeBron comparison, that faded fast. They matched up 8 times, with LeBron winning 6. Shabazz never reached that level, but he carved out a long global basketball career that plenty of players would still envy. Emoni Bates. By the time he was in middle school, people were already pointing cameras at him. At 12 years old, he was dropping nearly 30 points and 12 rebounds at AAU events. By high school, he stood close to 6'10" and was a consensus 5-star recruit. He won Gatorade National Player of the Year as a sophomore, something not even LeBron did at that stage. And yeah, a few headlines did go there. Some folks actually said he was better than LeBron at 15. But once he got to college, the story shifted. He started at Memphis in 2021 as the youngest player in college basketball. Injuries and a position change slowed things down. He averaged just under 10 points and only a few rebounds. After transferring to Eastern Michigan, he looked more like himself again. 19 points a game, third-team All-MAC, and a wild 43-point performance. Cleveland grabbed him 49th overall in the 2023 draft. Since then, it's been a two-way deal. Some time with the Cavaliers, more time lighting up the G League. His best NBA moment so far, a 25-point game in April 2025. The next LeBron label didn't stick. Some scouts lean more toward a Kevin Durant comparison too. Tall frame, smooth shooter, perimeter style. He hasn't hit that level either, but he's still in the mix, still finding his rhythm in the league. Darius Miles. Out of East St. Louis High School, he lit up the national scene, winning Mr. Basketball USA and landing on the McDonald's All-American squad in 2000. He skipped college altogether and became the 3rd overall pick in that year's draft, going to the Clippers. That made him the highest drafted high school player ever at the time. His rookie season was a hit. He made the All-Rookie first team and became the first prep-to-pro player to do it. Across his NBA career, he averaged just over 10 points and nearly 5 rebounds across 446 games. His best game, a wild 47-point outburst. Injuries crushed the momentum. In 2006, he had microfracture surgery on his right knee and missed 2 full seasons. Portland eventually let him go, and he had short stops in Boston and Memphis before his NBA career ended in 2009. There were some next LeBron echoes early on, mostly fan chatter connecting the high school hype and athleticism. But once LeBron arrived, any comparison turned laughable. After the league, Darius shifted gears. He appeared in a couple films, lost a fortune, filed for bankruptcy in 2016, and later opened up about his mental health battles. These days, he co-hosts the Knuckleheads podcast with Quentin Richardson, turning his NBA story into something much bigger than the stat sheet. VJ King. Back in high school, he got buzzed up fast, mostly because he played at St. Vincent St. Mary, where LeBron built his name. As a freshman, King became the first to start there since LeBron, which instantly kicked off comparisons. Then he transferred to Paul VI in Virginia and kept the numbers coming. Nearly 19 points as a junior, then over 23 points, and almost 10 boards his senior year. He earned Gatorade Player of the Year in Virginia and was a 5-star recruit. He committed to Louisville in 2016, and the expectations were sky high. But over 3 seasons, he averaged just over 6 points and under 3 rebounds per game. His sophomore year was the peak. 8.6 points and 3.3 boards while starting every game. After his junior season, he declared for the draft but didn't hear his name called. King signed with the Knicks, but only made it as far as the G League. From there, he took his game overseas, first in the UK with the Bristol Flyers, where he made Team of the Year. Then came Germany in 2023, and in 2024, Italy's top league with Victoria Libertas Pesaro. There, he's putting up almost 14 points a night. That next LeBron talk, it faded fast. It was more about location and early promise than anything real. But Kings kept his career going, carving out a solid role internationally. Tiger Campbell, he came up through La Lumiere in Indiana, where he reclassified into the class of 2018 and led one of the top high school programs in the country. By his senior year, he was putting up over 15 points and 7 assists per game. That court vision made him a top point guard prospect. And after decommitting from DePaul, he locked in with UCLA. Right before his freshman season, though, he tore his ACL and redshirted the year. From there, he got to work. Over 133 games, he averaged just over 11 points, nearly 5 assists, and shot over 79% from the line. His senior year was his most efficient, and he left UCLA as one of the top assist men in school history, just behind Pooh Richardson. After going undrafted in 2023, he joined the Magic for Summer League, but didn't land on the roster, so he went to France. At Saint-Quentin, he put up nearly 17 points and over 9 assists per 36 minutes. Then it was Germany in 2024, averaging around 13-5 in Bundesliga play. In July 2025, he signed with the Tasmania Jackjumpers for the upcoming NBL season. As for LeBron comparisons, they are completely gone. On top of that, Tiger's always been known for his court IQ and passing, not highlight reel dunks or freakish athleticism. His journey's built on precision, patience, and gritty overseas work, not empty hype. Tyreke Evans. Back in high school, he was basically putting up video game numbers, over 32 points, nearly 9 rebounds, almost 6 assists, and 4 steals per game. He earned McDonald's All-American Game MVP and came into college as one of the most hyped players in the country. At Memphis, he ran point and didn't disappoint, averaging over 17 points in his freshman year and picking up multiple freshman honors. Then came the NBA. Sacramento took him 4th overall in 2009, and Tyreke exploded onto the scene. He put up over 20 points, 5 rebounds, and nearly 6 assists per game as a rookie. That put him in rare company. Only LeBron, Michael Jordan, and Oscar Robertson had done it before. He won Rookie of the Year and looked like the league's next big star. He bounced around after that. New Orleans, Memphis, Indiana, and averaged nearly 16 points across almost 600 career games. But it wasn't all smooth. Injuries chipped away at his momentum. And in 2019, he got hit with a suspension for violating the league's drug policy. He returned years later, but never found his old form. He was absolutely in the next LeBron conversation early on, especially after that rookie season. The size, the playmaking, the stats, they lined up. But over time, his career became one of those what could have been stories. The talent was real. The trajectory just did. LeBron sexuals, they aren't just rooting for a player, they're orbiting him, like moons stuck in a gravity well of highlight reels and advanced metrics. LeBron could switch teams mid-season, and these fans would rebrand faster than a crypto rug pull. Lakers, Cavaliers, Heat, it doesn't matter. If he laced up for a rec league in Guam, they'd be buying jerseys in 12 different colors. It's loyalty, but like on performance-enhancing drugs. These fans treat criticism of LeBron like it's a personal attack on their bloodline. Someone brings up that 4-6 finals record, suddenly it's a symposium on poor roster construction, uneven refereeing, and the plight of misunderstood superstar. Say LeBron's not clutch, and they'll drag out game winners from 15 years ago like a magician pulling scarves from their sleeve. The narrative gets spun harder than a laundromat on Black Friday. Their favorite pastime is defending LeBron's place in the GOAT argument, usually by launching digital fireballs at Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant fans. It's like watching a courtroom drama, except the only evidence allowed is VORP and player efficiency rate. Advanced stats are their holy scripture. If LeBron breathes, there's a stat proving he did it better than anyone else in NBA history. Now, when it comes to team success, that's not the hill they're dying on. Nope, they're all about individual greatness. LeBron could lose a series, but if he dropped a triple-double, his fans are out there declaring moral victory. It's not about rings, it's about the journey, or whatever philosophical cope helps them sleep after another playoff exit. And man, do they love the longevity angle. You think LeBron invented time? Turning 41? Who cares? He's still scoring 25 a night. Meanwhile, Other players are learning how to pronounce Achilles in physical therapy. They treat his age like a flex. Your guy retired by 35? LeBron's bench pressing the sun at 40. Cool. Also slightly terrifying. Let's talk about their debate tactics. Imagine a meme, a spreadsheet, and a conspiracy theory had a baby. That's a LeBron sexual argument. 1 second they're citing player efficiency ratings, next they're claiming Kevin Durant cheated by existing. Context doesn't stand a chance. It's selective memory with a Wi-Fi connection. They're especially active during playoff time. You'll see memes of LeBron wearing a crown, dunking on the entire cast of Space Jam, or photoshopped into Mount Rushmore. They're relentless. A 30-point blowout loss? Doesn't matter. They'll upload a 10-minute compilation of LeBron's assists and call it a documentary on greatness. Every rival's achievement instantly devalued. Steph Curry has rings? Well, he had help. Durant's titles? Those were pre-assembled. If another player excels, these fans become forensic analysts, digging into how it doesn't really count. It's like if LeBron didn't do it, it shouldn't exist in the record books. They also cling to the struggle narrative. Born in Akron, hyped since high school, chosen one, these talking points get recycled more than your local compost bin. It's always about how he rose above adversity, like every opposing team was the final boss in a video game. The pressure argument is their favorite. No one else had to live up to this much hype. Right, because Jordan wasn't busy selling out arenas and launching a sneaker empire while winning championships. Totally different. Then there's the cherry picking. If you want stats with context, go elsewhere. LeBron sexuals serve you the ones that sparkle, like player efficiency rating, but only when it ranks LeBron above someone. Or playoff wins, as long as you don't ask about how many came in the bubble. If they can't win the argument, they'll pivot to things like philanthropy, or say LeBron could have been a Hall of Fame tight end, movie star, and president if he wanted to. Multiverse logic, no cap. One of the wildest things is how they act like they're the only real fans, calling everyone else a bandwagoner, while hopping teams like they're chasing frequent flyer miles. Miami in 2012, Cleveland in 2016, Lakers by 2018. It's fandom by Airbnb. Online, it's full-time chaos. They swarm threads, quote stats like they're getting paid per decimal, and create memes with the urgency of someone defusing a bomb. If someone tweets a mild criticism, you can expect a digital avalanche of goat emojis, stats, and edits of LeBron dunking over history itself. It's performance art at this point. Even their praise gets extra. LeBron sexuals have claimed he could win an Oscar, run for office, and cure disease if he ever got bored. The man could post a smoothie recipe and someone's calling him the smartest human alive. You almost admire the commitment until you remember he just posted an emoji and it caused a 4-day argument on Reddit. So yeah, LeBron sexuals are a lot. They're passionate, they're loud, they're armed with stats, and they have the emotional range of a soap opera cast. They're not rooting for a team, they're running a campaign. And the only platform that matters, the GOAT debate. Analytics nerds. These fans treat basketball like it's a science fair project, not a sport. Forget emotion, forget storylines. If it's not in a spreadsheet, it doesn't count. You could show them a buzzer beater and they'd respond with a table explaining why the shot had low expected value. These folks are the human version of Excel formulas, and they are thriving. Their obsession with advanced stats is legendary. Player efficiency rating, true shooting percentage, box plus minus, VRP, they collect them like Pokemon cards. Say a player dropped 30 points, and they'll ask about the true shooting percentage before even reacting. If a shot goes in, but the expected shot quality says it shouldn't have, they'll wince like someone just spilled red wine on a white couch. These guys do not care about the eye test. You can bring up clutch gene or killer instinct, and they'll just point you to a scatter plot. To them, basketball greatness is a math problem, not a vibe. Jordan's aura, cute. They've got LeBron's VORP bookmarked and framed. The more emotional your take, the more likely they'll reply with a 10-paragraph thread explaining why you're statistically incorrect and possibly illiterate. Efficiency over flash is their whole personality. They'll take Nikola Jokic casually flipping in layups over Russell Westbrook's rim-rattling dunks every time. Why? Because that layup came with a 68% true shooting. Westbrook's dunk? Well, sorry. It wasn't efficient enough. They don't care if it made the crowd scream. They care if it made the win shares go up. They've also got a weird love for obscure stats. If you've ever heard someone unironically say his LeBron is off the charts, you've met one. They don't just look at points, rebounds, and assists. They're citing assist points created, box adjusted, plus minus, and something called LeBron that sounds like it belongs in a Jurassic Park sequel. They're the only people alive who will passionately argue that Draymond Green is more valuable than someone who averages 30 points just because of defensive win shares. You say he only scores 10 a game, they say he's the backbone of the system. You say he's volatile, they pull out a net rating chart. It's like arguing with a sentient calculator. And man, do they live for online debates. Reddit, X, obscure forums. They're out there, posting bar graphs like it's going out of style. You want to argue MVP? They've got a folder labeled, Why Jokic is the MVP for the next 100 years. Inside, graphs, equations, some tears probably. They don't trust traditional awards. They think voters are all swayed by charisma and Instagram followers. When Embiid won MVP in 2023, they reacted like someone kicked over their servers. Jokic had better stats. Jokic had higher efficiency. Jokic once smiled at a puppy. Doesn't matter. If the math says he's better, he's better. Role players are their love language. You're watching Luka drain threes, they're focused on Alex Caruso's deflections. You want dunks, they want hustle stats. Bridges, Caruso, Williams, these guys are like folk heroes in stat geek culture. If you contribute efficiently and never make mistakes, you're their kind of guy. They also hate casual fans. If you show up to a debate talking about points per game, they'll sigh audibly through the screen. Use a highlight as evidence, you're done. They throw around phrases like, watch the film and learn what effective field goal percentage means with all the patience of a librarian during finals week. They genuinely worship analysts. You mention Zach Lowe or Ben Taylor and their eyes light up. Their holy trinity is probably 538, The Ringer, and Cleaning the Glass. These blogs are cited in arguments more often than the Declaration of Independence in a history class. You'll hear wild takes like Drew Holiday is a top 3-point guard based on a stat no one else understands. And they'll back it up with so much data, you'll start doubting your own existence. Forget highlight reels. They want assist to turnover ratios and LeBron scores that sound like someone made them up during a fever dream. Even their jokes are math-based. When someone drops 30 inefficient points, they'll say, cool box score. Want a cookie? That's their version of trash talk. If a player's plus minus is negative, it's like a personal offense. They'll drag a whole career just because of 1 year with a low box plus minus. To them, the sport isn't about championships or emotion. It's about maximizing value per possession. You could save a puppy mid-game and they'd ask how it affected your win shares. They're passionate, analytical, and deeply unfun at parties. Analytics nerds aren't watching for storylines or legacy. They're watching for statistical outliers and normalized shooting variants, and they're gonna tell you about it, whether you asked or not. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm gonna be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, randoms lovers. These are the fans who skip the main course and head straight for the weird little snacks on the side. While everyone else is arguing about MVPs and superstars, these folks are passionately defending a guy who averaged 6 points a game and once tied his shoe during a fast break. They live for the players you've forgotten existed until you scrolled to the bottom of the roster. They're obsessed with obscure role players. You bring up LeBron, they counter with Tony Snell. Not because he's better, obviously, but because Tony once played 28 minutes and recorded zeros across every stat line. To randoms lovers, that's not a failure. That's performance art. They admire it the way other people admire jazz. It's not about what you do, it's about what you don't. They love inconsistency. One night, it's a 50-50-100 shooting split. The next, it's a stat sheet that looks like he napped through the game. They don't care. Players like Robin Lopez tossing up weird hooks from the year 85, that's their Super Bowl. Gerald Green airballing a dunk attempt before draining 5 threes, a masterpiece. Off-court stories are everything. JaVale McGee being a walking blooper reel who still got 3 rings, that's peak content. They love the humanity, the messiness, the awkward charisma of these players. It's less about what they do and more about who they are. They're also nostalgia monsters. If a player had one oddly memorable season, they're immortalized forever. Kwame Brown's revenge year with the Bobcats, Marbury's Celtics vacation, where he averaged under 4 points. Randoms lovers talk about those like they're sacred texts. They know your favorite player's stat line, but they remember the time Brian Cardinal dove into the scorer's table up 30 in a preseason game. The moment a guy like Snell goes 0 across the board, the Photoshop machines fire up. There's Tony holding up a blank piece of paper, or JaVale McGee superimposed onto an actual cartoon. They make jokes, sure, but there's affection underneath all of it. It's like roasting your favorite cousin. Underdogs are their bread and butter. You think someone like Nas Reed is just another rotation guy? Wrong. He's a bench legend with cult status. They'll hype up his 11.5 points and 5.2 boards like it's a finals MVP resume. They're not looking for greatness. They're looking for effort, charm, and a dash of chaos. Stat quirks are basically fan gold. If a player had a 50-50-100 shooting season, they're building shrines. Tony Snell did that in 2021, and you'd think he reinvented basketball. Randoms lovers remember that? They cherish that. They will bring it up in unrelated arguments because it just lives in their heads rent-free. These fans aren't tied to a team. They follow players across cities like nomads chasing vibes. Snell from Chicago to Portland, they're right there with him. Boris Diaw from Phoenix to San Antonio, still cheering. They're not franchise loyalists. They're player pilgrims, hopping from one random jersey to the next. They've got a million one-liners. Tony Snell got a paycheck for cardio. Naz Reid is pure vibes. JaVale McGee is my chaotic king. They say it with the deadpan humor of someone who knows it's ridiculous, but means it anyway. You won't hear debates about all NBA snubs. You'll hear someone passionately explaining why Mark Hendrickson was the real two-sport legend, not Deion Sanders. Their debates are less who's the GOAT and more who had the funniest stat line in 2017. They'll throw around obscure facts like Brian Cardinal once took a charge in a charity game, or that Devo's hustle rate was off the charts during a February back-to-back. It's not about winning, it's about having the most interesting take. They fight hard for their favorites, especially when those favorites are fighting for relevance. Snell's push for a 10th NBA season just to get retiree benefits, Random's lovers, led that campaign like it was a social justice crusade. They don't care about legacy, they care about people. They live on Reddit threads, meme pages, and basketball reference deep dives. You won't find them front row at a finals game. You'll find them arguing about Mikal Bridges plus minus in a preseason scrimmage. They bring spreadsheets to a joke fight and still make it fun. So yeah, Random's lovers are weird, loyal, hilarious, and absolutely unstoppable. While everyone else is watching the stars, they're focused on the guys doing the gritty work behind the scenes, or just doing weird stuff on camera. Either way, they're enjoying the game on their own weird frequency. If guys fans, these are the dreamers of NBA discourse, the ones who live permanently in alternate timelines where knees don't explode and feet don't betray greatness. They're emotionally attached to futures that never happen. Bring up Derrick Rose, and they'll start rattling off stats like he's still 22 and about to dethrone the big three. These fans don't mourn what was. They mourn what could have shattered history. They are obsessed with the broken blueprints. To them, Tracy McGrady was on a direct path to basketball royalty until his back started acting like a folding chair. Yao Ming, a generational big whose feet had the structural integrity of a breadstick. Brandon Roy, Grant Hill, Greg Oden. They're not just players, they're monuments to unrealized greatness. If guys fans treat every MRI like a Greek tragedy, you'll find them deep in Reddit threads or X debates, writing novels about playoff runs that never happened. Rose's ACL tear in 2012, to them, that's when the Bulls dynasty that never existed got cut short. They remember he was dropping 25 points and 7 assists a night and leading a team to 62 wins. That's not just history, it's a point of religion. And if you even hint that Tracy McGrady choked in the playoffs, you're asking for a lecture. They'll pull up his 31.7 average against the Pistons and remind you his best teammate was Mike Miller. McGrady fans have trauma, but they also have receipts. All you need to say is 13 points in 35 seconds, and they'll enter a trance. Yao Ming fans, they're built different. They remember when he averaged 25 points a game while standing 7'6" and still moving like a guard. And if you say he underachieved, they'll hit you with every foot injury, every summer of Chinese national team duty, and then ask why his statue isn't already in front of the Hall of Fame twice. These fans live for speculation. Could McGrady and Yao have taken down the Spurs if they stayed healthy? Absolutely. Could Rose have outdueled LeBron in the East Finals? Of course. They talk about these things with more certainty than actual NBA champions. They don't see hypotheticals. They see stolen legacies. They defend these players' reputations with wild intensity. If you say Rose was a one-hit wonder, they'll remind you of that 27-point playoff run in 2011. Call McGrady ringless, and they'll say his back gave out before his talent ever did. Say Yao was overrated, and suddenly they're citing his 06 season like it was gospel. They're also emotionally tied to the storylines. Rose was the hometown kid who actually lived up to the hype until his body betrayed him. McGrady was the smoothest scorer who never had a healthy roster. Yao carried a country's expectations on his size 20 shoe. These stories aren't just interesting, they're tragic epics to these fans. And yes, they cry at highlight reels. Show them Rose's 50-point game in 2018 and they'll tell you he won MVP all over again. Watch McGrady hit those 4 threes in 35 seconds and they'll start talking about alternate dimension. Yao hitting fadeaways over Shaq, that's poetry, not just basketball. They love imagining duos that never got their full run. McGrady and Yao with full health, title threats. Rose and Jimmy Butler for a decade, Eastern Conference kings. They'll argue those combinations would have flipped dynasties, changed legacies, and rewritten the record books. They say things like, if Rose had LeBron's knees, he'd have 3 MVPs and a statue in every city. Or give McGrady a healthy spine and a Shaq. And he's outscoring Jordan. And they are not joking. These takes are fueled by grief and Google Sheets. To them, these players aren't failed projects. They're icons who just got cursed, and they will defend them like knights in an imaginary medieval league. If you're not ready to argue Yao's 25-point per game season or Rose's 2011 player efficiency rating, then just log off. It's safer. They post hypothetical lineups like they're manifesting a reality. A team with Grant Hill, Rose, McGrady, Yao, and Brandon Roy. That's the Avengers. Injuries didn't just hurt those players, they hurt basketball itself, according to this fan base. You'll find If Guys fans hoarding mixtapes, highlight reels, and what if articles like treasured relics. They don't follow current NBA news. They follow timelines that broke in the early 2000s and never recovered. So yeah, they're loyal, delusional, poetic, and extremely online. And if you ask them who's the greatest ever, they might just say Derrick Rose. If 80s, obsessed fans. These folks don't just watch basketball, they watch time travel. If the broadcast isn't in grainy VHS quality and there aren't shorts short enough to double as denim diapers, they're not interested. They're convinced the 80s were the last time real basketball happened, and everything since has been a corporate-sponsored layup drill with Wi-Fi. They live and breathe Magic versus Bird. Mention either one and you're about to get a PowerPoint presentation on how they saved the league from extinction. Magic's no-look passes, Bird's icy trash talk. These fans talk about it like it happened yesterday, even if they weren't alive to see it. They'll tell you the '87 finals was better than any series ever, and they've got the Nielsen numbers and a grainy highlight reel to back it up. Physicality? That's their whole identity. Hand-checking, elbow, players with actual blood on their jerseys. This was basketball, not interpretive dance. They'll bring up Bill Laimbeer like he's some mythological beast who made LeBron look like a cartoon bunny. And don't even mention foul calls. To them, flopping is a modern plague that should be punishable by public shaming and maybe mild jail time. Modern fans try to show off Steph Curry's range, and these guys respond with a Bird quote and a stat sheet from '86. They swear Bird would average 40 a game today with a one leg and a cup of black coffee in his hand. Every time someone brings up Kevin Durant, an '80s obsessed fan logs on to say, but could he survive the Jordan rules? They obsess over the old dynasties. The '86 Celtics, Showtime Lakers, Bad Boy Pistons. These squads are treated like sacred relics. They'll tell you those teams would sweep any modern contender. You can show them a team with Giannis, Curry, and Embiid, and they'll shrug and say, but have you heard of Dennis Johnson? And yes, they hate the modern game's three-point obsession. Back in their day, you had to earn every basket by wrestling a man in the paint, not jacking up threes from half court. They miss the mid-range jumper, like it was a lost art form. You mention analytics, and they look at you like you just insulted their grandma. They live in the comment sections of Reddit's Vintage NBA, posting clips of Wilkins dunks and writing emotional essays about how Kevin McHale's post moves should be taught in schools. They don't want pace and space. They want bruises, sweatbands, and center court fights that were somehow still called playoff intensity. Their loyalty to 80s players is almost absurd. They'll argue Larry Bird had better vision than any modern point guard, despite looking like he moonlighted as a high school science teacher. Magic? They say he invented joy. Jordan? Before the Gatorade and the shoes. They talk about him like he was forged in a lab to humiliate defenders and end careers. Their aesthetic is all retro everything. Give them short shorts, retro warm-up jackets, and throwback Converse sneakers. They own Celtics pennants that look like they've survived multiple wars. If it's on eBay and smells like mothballs, they want it. They don't even watch games on HD. If it's not on a glitchy VHS rip with a fuzzy CBS logo in the corner, it's not basketball. And the trash talk, they miss it like it was a long-lost friend. They talk about Bird calling his shots and dunking on people with a backhanded compliment midair. Today's players tweet emojis. Bird told you he was gonna drop 40 on you and then did it in silence with a smirk and a pair of orthopedic shoes. They say things like, the 8-6 Celtics would destroy the 2024 Warriors, and they mean it. Doesn't matter how many threes are raining down, these fans believe that passing to Kevin McHale on the block solves every basketball problem. They're not wrong, they're just stuck in a time loop. So yeah, 80s obsessed fans are a hilarious mix of romantic, delusional, and somehow still convincing. They miss when basketball was raw, unscripted, and maybe slightly dangerous. To them, the modern NBA is just basketball with training wheels, and if you disagree, just wait. They've got a Larry Bird highlight, real queued up, and they're not afraid to hit play. He just needs minutes. Fan, these are the true believers, the church of per 36-minute projections, the keepers of G League box scores. While other fan bases argue about all-stars and MVPs, these folks are writing long threads, explaining why Cam Reddish is secretly the best player on earth if someone would just let him play more than 13 minutes. They're obsessed with potential that only shows up in 5-minute bursts in preseason games. Bol Bol hits a pull-up three and blocks a shot in garbage time. That's enough to declare him the next Giannis. They've got receipts from 2022 when he averaged 9 points and nearly 6 boards in 21 minutes. And they've been arguing ever since that all he needs is a consistent 30-minute leash to unlock his inner unicorn. Bronny James is another sacred name. He dropped 17 in a late season game against Milwaukee, and suddenly the takes are flying. He's better than Caruso right now. Never mind that he's averaging 2.3 points in 5 minutes per game. These fans are convinced that with 25 minutes a night, he's cooking every night like it's a G League game. Mac McClung fans, fully unhinged, in a good way. This guy wins the dunk contest for the 3rd time in a row, and everyone's ready to crown him king of the two-way contract. He averaged 25.7 points and 6.6 assists in the G League last season, and to these fans, that's proof he's ready to drop 20 a night in the NBA if the Magic would stop playing actual NBA players. And then there's Cam Reddish, the patron saint of He Just Needs Minutes Twitter. He's been on the verge of a breakout since Duke. His fans will tell you he locked up Paul George one time in 2023, which in their minds makes him a two-way star who's just waiting for a coach brave enough to let him shine. These fans are powered by per 36 stats, like it's a new religion. Bowls, 13.8 points and 8.8 boards per 36. That's all NBA in their world. Bronny's 22 per 36 in the G League. Instant starter. They treat those numbers like they're real, like they actually happen outside of the spreadsheet dimension, where nobody gets tired or commits fouls. And if a player's not getting minutes, the coach is always to blame. Redick benches Bronny? That's sabotage. Darvin Ham played Reddish over Reeves last year? Career malpractice. They don't care about team fit, schemes, or rotation. They just know their guy would drop 15 if someone handed him the keys. They're not discouraged by missed shots or shaky stats either. Bronny could go 2 for 10, and they'll point out the good screens. McClung gets cooked on defense? Look at his hustle. Reddish shoots 39% from the field? That's just a confidence issue. More minutes will fix it. They find hope in flashes. Bronny's 30-point G League game in December 2024? Legendary. McClung's 4 perfect scores in the dunk contest? Evidence he's too talented to be wasting away in Lakeland. Bowl swatting shots and hitting trail threes in Phoenix? That's unicorn behavior. They treat every good moment like a vision of the future. They post highlight clips like it's their full-time job. Bronny's corner threes, Bowles' help side blocks, McClung's reverse layups. They're all in rotation on X and Reddit. YouTube mixtapes with Future Star in the title and 200,000 views? Yeah, that's their doing. These fans are relentless in the comments. Someone calls Reddish a bust. They fire back with clips from high school and reminders that he was a top 5 prospect. Bronny gets called overrated. They're quoting G League shooting splits and bringing up defensive metrics you've never heard of. And they say wild things with straight faces. Bowles a 7'2" Kevin Durant. Bronny's already a better defender than half the league. McClung's the next Curry. Cam just needs 1 full season and it's over for the league. They mean every word. They've built whole personalities on this stuff. So yeah, he just needs minutes. Fans are dramatic, overly optimistic, and completely irrational, but they're also kind of delightful. They believe in hope, hustle, and untapped greatness. They see stars where others see D, NP, and maybe, just maybe, they're right. If someone would just give their guy 25 minutes. Defense wins, championships fans. These are the people who think a properly executed closeout is more exciting than a buzzer beater. They don't care about your 30-point score. If he doesn't know how to hedge on a pick and roll or recover after a switch, then he's just out there getting cooked. These fans have one mantra, and they say it like it's gospel. Offense is optional. Defense is destiny. They live and breathe defensive stats. They can quote defensive rating, defensive box plus minus, and defensive win shares. Like they're reading bedtime stories. You mentioned Drew Holiday? They'll tell you he averaged nearly 2 steals per game in 2024 and locked down Kyrie Irving in the finals. Rudy Gobert, 3 blocks a game and nearly 8 rebounds. That's Defensive Player of the Year material. They don't even care if he fumbles a pass, as long as the paint stays locked. Mention Devin Booker scoring 40, and they'll ask what his matchup's field goal percentage was. Bring up Luka Doncic dropping 33, and they'll shake their heads and quote his team's defensive rating. If your team is letting opponents score 115, these fans see it as a moral failing, a breach of basketball ethics. Their favorite players? Drew Holiday, Draymond Green, Marcus Smart, Rudy Gobert, gritty, physical, fundamentally sound. Holiday strips the ball with surgical precision. Draymond barks orders like a field gen while guarding centers and point guards in the same possession. Smart dives onto hardwood like it's a pillow top mattress. Gobert swats shots like he's playing volleyball at the net. These are their champions. Favorite teams? The 2004 Pistons. No flash, all clamps. They talk about Ben Wallace's 3 blocks per game like he personally erased the Lakers' legacy. They bring up the Pistons' defensive rating of under 88, like it was the turning point in civilization. And don't even mention offense-heavy teams unless you want to see an aneurysm in real time. The 2025 Mavericks had one of the top offensive ratings in the league and lost in the playoffs. What's the point of averaging 117 if you give up open corner threes like they're free samples? Is what these fans will scream into the void. They consume defensive highlights like it's a delicacy. Forget poster dunks. They want to see Drew Holiday stripping the ball with the clock winding down. They want Draymond tipping a pass, diving out of bounds, and saving the possession. Marcus Smart forcing a 5-second violation, chef's kiss. YouTube videos of defensive plays have a permanent home in their browser bookmark. They are also award absolutists. Gobert winning Defensive Player of the Year for the 4th time? Deserved. Smart getting it. In 2022, redemption for all guards everywhere. They'll write long Reddit posts defending a player's block percentage like it's a doctoral thesis. Playoff flameouts? That's a team problem. The defense was sound. The offense just didn't honor the grind. They pined for the old days too. The bad boy Pistons. The Duncan-era Spurs. The days when basketball was physical and fouls had consequences. When a three-point attempt came with bruises, not just a flailing arm. They will swear that the 1989 Pistons would physically dismantle any modern team, despite the fact that today's players shoot from 35 feet like it's nothing. They get into statistical trench warfare. You bring up scoring averages, and they'll counter with Raptor scores and deflection numbers. You talk efficiency, and they're pulling up Gobert's block percentage or Holiday's defensive rating. You try to explain spacing, and they're like, okay, but who's stopping the backdoor cut? Their language is full of quotes that sound like locker room posters. Offense wins games, defense wins championships. You can't teach hustle. Gobert is a no-fly zone. Draymond is the soul of the dynasty. Holiday is what Booker wishes he could be with a clipboard in his hand. They will say, with complete seriousness, give me 5 Bruce Bowens, and we're going undefeated. So yeah, defense wins championships fans are intense, nerdy, and occasionally insufferable. But they believe in the little things. The box out that no one notices. The help side rotation that saves the possession. The clutch steal that swings the game. In their world, glory isn't found in highlights. It's in the stop that no one saw coming. Trade machine maniac. These are the digital GMs, the armchair architects, the unlicensed capologists who spend more time on Fanspo than most actual front offices. They are the spreadsheet warriors who believe the real NBA action happens not on the court, but in the simulate trade button. They don't just watch basketball, they rearrange it. These fans know the NBA's collective bargaining agreement better than the average lawyer knows divorce law. You casually suggest the Lakers trade for a star? They're already typing. That violates the second apron rule. And the Lakers are hard-capped after LeBron's $39 million deal. If you don't know the difference between a traded player exception and a biannual exception, they will mock you, politely, but with malice. They obsess over trades the way normal people obsess over food or shelter. You'll find them creating 4-team trades involving obscure veterans, protected picks, and 9 trade exceptions just to move Duncan Robinson to the Spurs. They don't care if the trade makes sense, only that it's legal. The value's questionable, but I got the salaries to match and kept both teams under the first apron. That's the prize. They are fueled by the belief that every role player on their team is secretly worth 2 first-rounders and a young prospect. Lakers fans will trade Rui and Gabe Vincent for Joel Embiid and call it a fair deal because Philly needs wings. Heat fans want to swap Duncan Robinson for a lottery pick and act surprised when the world laughs. They talk about picks like they're cryptocurrency. Top 8 protections, pick swaps, deferred rights. It's all part of the trade language. You suggest a trade for Laurie, and they'll snap back. Not for less than 3 unprotected firsts. Remember the Rudy Gobert deal? These people treat the 2027 pick protections like sacred scripture. They live in Reddit size r/NBA trade ideas and on X, sharing screenshots of 6-team, 10-player trade proposals that look like conspiracy theory flowcharts. Someone always tries to trade Andrew Wiggins for 3 rotation players and a first-round pick, and someone else always reminds them that the Warriors are already above the second apron. And by the way, that's not how sign and trades work. Every trade is a galaxy brain experiment. They'll say things like, okay, hear me out. Rockets get Zach LaVine, Bulls get DeAndre Ayton, Lakers get Kevin Durant, Clippers get Bruce Brown, Portland gets D'Angelo Russell, and the Nets get 3 picks in Marcus Morris. Everyone wins. Everyone does not win, but they wrote a 10-paragraph explanation about it anyway. They don't just build trades, they build empires. They'll recreate the NBA landscape like they're Napoleon with a laptop. They'll fix your team's cap sheet, rebuild your roster, and explain how you could have landed Mikal Bridges if you just included that 2029 second rounder. No one asked, but that doesn't matter. They already made the post. They believe the trade machine is a mirror that shows the true NBA, not the product on the floor, but the one on spreadsheets, in front office war rooms, deep inside luxury tax projections. For them, watching a game is fun, but refreshing SpotRack's team salary page is spiritual. So when you see someone tweet, "Here's a 6-team deal where everyone gets better," know that a trade machine maniac fan has just emerged from the shadows. They've got matching salaries, draft equity justification, and absolutely no chill. Level 1. Rising superstar. Austin Reeves has taken his game to another level. He's logging over 36 minutes a night and making the most of every single one. The shooting? Wildly efficient. He's hitting over 52% from the field and nearly 89% from the line. Then he went and dropped 51 points, 11 boards, and 9 assists in a game where the usual stars weren't even on the floor. That kind of output doesn't just happen by accident. It means he can lead, score at volume, and still stay efficient. And none of this came out of nowhere. The guy was undrafted in 2021. He picked his own team, worked his way up, earned his role, and now he's putting up what some analysts are calling all-star numbers. Scoring, passing, rebounding, he's doing it all, and he's doing it with poise. It's that steady rise from overlooked to undeniable that makes him fit perfectly in this tier. Amen Thompson is making noise too. 17 points, 7 rebounds, over 5 assists per game, all while clocking over 36 minutes. That's not a side character stat line. He's showing off a serious two-way game. He's defending multiple positions, using his athleticism to full effect, and bringing a level of energy that pops off the screen. One big reason he fits this level: the jump in league recognition. He moved up 66 spots in a top 100 ranking from last season. That kind of leap doesn't happen unless something major changes, and it has. He's trusted with starter minutes, impacting games across the board, and still has room to grow. His three-point shot needs work, and his free throw form is not quite where it should be, but the overall package, extremely promising. His rise isn't just flash, it's function, wrapped in speed and power. Jalen Johnson's rise has been borderline seismic. He's averaging over 23 points, 10 boards, and 7 assists, while shooting nearly 54% from the field. And he's doing this while playing a huge role for his team. We're not talking about a guy sneaking into highlight reels, he's setting the pace. Just recently, he threw up a 30-point, 12-rebound, 12-assist performance. Triple doubles like that show he's got real command of the floor. The jump he made in the top 100 rankings, up 43 spots, reflects what he's been doing statistically: scoring, rebounding, playmaking. His toolkit is wide, and he's putting it all together consistently. He's young, but his numbers look like something out of an established player's playbook. There's no pretending with these stats. He's producing, and he's doing it night in and night out. Then there's Josh Giddey, who is almost averaging a triple-double: 20 points, 10 rebounds, over 9 assists. That's not just stuffing the stat sheet, that's running the whole thing. Since landing in Chicago, he's stepped right into the lead playmaker role, and it's working. He's being mentioned in the same breath as players who flirt with all-star nods for the first time. And historically, the guy's already racked up totals that put him in a club with legends. That's consistency, not just a one-season wonder. He's the engine now, not just passing it off, but directing traffic, scoring, and crashing the board. The numbers are loud, and the game is louder. Denny has taken a huge leap. From solid contributor to offensive centerpiece, he's jumped to nearly 25 points, over 6 boards, and 5 assists a game. That's a massive leap from last year. He's now running the show in Portland, and it shows in every possession. The Blazers trust him to do way more than just catch and shoot. He's creating, moving the ball, and controlling pace. It's a full-on role shift, and the results? Analysts are calling him one of the top young players, performing like all-stars for the first time. That kind of shift in perception doesn't come from empty stats. He's pushing the pace, creating space, and making decisions that affect the whole flow of the offense. And Jalen Duren is starting to dominate down low. He's putting up nearly 20 points and grabbing almost 11 rebounds while playing under 30 minutes. That efficiency is ridiculous. He's shooting over 66% from the floor, which basically means if he touches it near the rim, it's going in. He's the kind of player that sets a physical tone. He's not just racking up stats, he's controlling the paint. And now, he's got the recognition to match. Media's already calling him one of the breakout young players of the year. His ceiling depends on how much he can add, especially offensively. But right now, he's a force. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Level 2, second option stars. Jalen Williams is a perfect fit for this tier. He's not the first name on his team's scouting report. That's still Shea, but Jalen's offensive load keeps growing. He's playing heavy minutes, racking up assists, scoring efficiently, and switching roles on the fly. He's the guy who stabilizes possessions when the primary attack stalls. His offensive creation metrics are legit, putting him in the upper group of wings who can score, pass, and defend without being the number one. What makes him stand out is that balance. He doesn't need to dominate the ball to influence the game. Whether he's attacking closeouts or initiating in the half court, he's dependable. That mix of efficiency, versatility, and trust from the coaching staff puts him squarely in the co-star mold. Evan Mobley brings a different flavor of second star. He's averaging around 19 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists, and he's doing it while anchoring one of the better defenses in the league. He's already got a Defensive Player of the Year award under his belt, and he's only getting better. The passing's been underrated. He's making reads from the elbow, connecting plays, and even initiating offense in transition. His impact isn't always loud, but it's constant. He closes gaps, alters shots, rotates early, and then goes down and puts up efficient buckets in the paint. His offensive game keeps expanding too. What makes Mobley such a clear number 2 option is how complete he is without needing to be flashy. He's the anchor behind the anchor. Karl Anthony Towns still feels underrated in this role. He's averaging over 12 rebounds a game this season and remains a high-level scorer from all over the floor. He stretches defenses vertically and horizontally. Threes, post-ups, face-ups. He's got it. And unlike most bigs, he keeps the floor spaced for teammates instead of clogging the lane. On a team where Brunson leads the attack, Towns is the perfect complement. He gives the offense variety, punishes mismatches, and pulls opposing bigs out of the paint. His career has had ups and downs, but the skill set is constant. Scoring, rebounding, spacing, and playmaking from the 5 spot. That's high-value stuff for a second option. He's not a backup plan. He's the alternative threat that makes the lead guy even harder to guard. Franz is the prototype of a modern co-star wing. His scoring has taken a big jump over the past couple seasons, and now he's firmly established as a 20-plus point guy who can also defend multiple positions. He doesn't need the ball in his hands every possession, but when he gets it, he can create his own shot, finish through contact, or make the right read. On a team with Paolo taking the lead role, Franz is the pressure release valve, the one who steps up when attention tilts elsewhere. He's smart, steady, and doesn't force things. That kind of scoring wing, with size and feel, is exactly what makes offenses unguardable. He's not just supporting the system, he's part of what makes it work. Jamal Murray has been living in this tier for years. He's averaging around 23 points and nearly 7 assists this season, and still delivers big game scoring when needed. He's had stretches where he's carried the offense entirely, like his recent 52-point explosion. That's the thing about Murray. He doesn't need to lead all the time, but he can when it counts. Jokic is the hub, but Murray brings the motion, the pull-up game, the late clock bucket. His shot creation and clutch scoring have been proven in playoff runs and late season pushes. As a co-star, he's elite at knowing when to take over and when to play off-ball. That flexibility is what makes him dangerous. De'Aaron Fox has added to his game, and that matters. The three-point shot's coming around, which adds another level to his already elite speed and slash. He's still one of the fastest players in the league, but now he's harder to guard because defenders can't just sag off. Even as Wemby draws most of the attention, Fox is the one collapsing defenses, pushing tempo, and driving the offense from the perimeter. He's adjusted to being the secondary threat without losing his identity. That's what makes a second option work. Not becoming less, just becoming sharper. Level 3, inconsistent but great. LaMelo Ball has all the tools. He's a creative passer, a slick ball handler, and a fearless scorer when he's in rhythm. This season, he's putting up just under 19 points, over 6 rebounds, and nearly 9 assists per game. That's still a very strong line, but the field goal percentage tells the other side of the story. He's shooting under 38%. That number makes every hot night feel like a coin flip. And then there's the injury history. He's missed chunks of multiple seasons, which has made it harder for him to build momentum or chemistry. Still, when he's healthy and hitting shots, he can change the tempo of a game instantly. The problem is, you never really know what you're going to get. That makes him electric, but volatile. Julius Randle is one of the most puzzling stars in the league. He's averaging 23 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 6 assists. Big-time production from a power forward. He's also shooting just above 50% from the field, which is solid. But we've seen this before. One week, he's putting up 30 and bullying defenders in the paint. And the next, He's forcing tough jumpers and going cold from everywhere. He's had multiple all-star seasons and playoff stretches where he looked like a top option, but he's also had months where the shot selection and effort on defense cratered. He's undeniably talented, but just as undeniably inconsistent. That's what locks him into this level. Zach LaVine is still a bucket. This season, he's averaging about 21 points a game and hitting shots at a 49% clip. That kind of efficiency is impressive, especially for a volume scorer. He can still rise up over defenders, hit tough shots, and get hot in a hurry. But when the shots aren't falling, the other parts of his game don't always pick up the slack. He's never been known for elite defense, and he's not a high-level playmaker. So if the scoring drops off, his impact does too. Add in the occasional injuries and on-again, off-again team situations, and you've got a player who can drop 40 one night and disappear the next. Classic, inconsistent, but great. Trae Young is a full-time headache for defenders when his shot is working. He's putting up nearly 18 points and almost 8 assists this season. The passing is still elite, and he can orchestrate an offense as well as anyone, but his efficiency has taken a dive. He's shooting just 37% from the field, which drags down everything else. When the threes are falling, he stretches the floor and controls tempo. When they're not, his defensive limitations and lack of size get exposed fast. His style of play depends on rhythm, and when that rhythm's off, the whole team can suffer. He can take over a game or sink a possession. That's the risk with him. And the reward, Morant is still one of the most explosive players in the league. He's averaging just under 18 points and nearly 8 assists this season, and he still has the bounce, the quickness, and the fearlessness that made him a sensation. But he's also shooting below 36% from the field. That's a rough number for a lead guard. He's had games where he slices through defenders and controls everything. But he's also had games where the missed shots pile up and the turnovers follow. His high usage style means the highs are high and the lows are loud. He's still developing, but right now, he's a highlight waiting to happen, or a cold streak you can't escape from. Brandon Ingram has always looked like a player about to break out into full-time stardom. He's long, skilled, and has one of the smoothest mid-range games in the league. He can get to 25 points without breaking a sweat when he's locked in. But too often, his performances depend on the matchup or the mood. He's been shut down by certain defenders and has had games where he fades into the background. He recently got a big extension, so clearly the team sees long-term value. But his inconsistency, from scoring totals to effort on defense, still keeps him from taking that next leap. The tools are there, they've always been there. But until the steady nights outnumber the shaky ones, he lives in this tier. These 6 guys are the definition of high ceiling, low floor. Every one of them can flip a game on its head or throw it out of rhythm. That's the thrill of watching them and the risk of relying on them. Level 4, old but great. LeBron James is still out here making plays at age 40 because apparently time has given up trying to stop him. He's averaging over 15 points and more than 7 assists a night this season, which would be impressive for anyone, let alone someone who's played more minutes than most small countries have power grids. The athleticism isn't what it used to be. Gravity wins that war eventually, but the brain, still elite. LeBron knows exactly where to be, how to manipulate defenders, and how to control tempo without breaking a sweat. His passing is still surgical, and when the Lakers need composure, he's the one steadying the floor. He's not the guy carrying every possession anymore, but he's still the one setting the standard. That's what keeps him in this tier. Kevin Durant doesn't care that he's nearly 37. He's still putting up over 25 points a game like it's casual cardio. His game was never based on pure speed, or vertical anyway, so the aging curve hasn't been too steep. He still shoots over defenders with ease, creates his own shot in a phone booth, and quietly carries the scoring load whenever needed. He's adapted too. Less wasted movement, more efficient shot selection, smarter pacing. That mid-post turn and shoot still lives rent-free in every defender's nightmares. Even if he's not exploding off the ground like he did in Oklahoma City, his scoring efficiency, size, and smooth game keep him firmly in the still a problem category. Steph Curry is 37 and leading the league in ways that only he can. He's averaging close to 28 points a game this season and continues to shoot like the rim owes him money. His legs might not be quite as springy, but the shot hasn't aged a day. He bends defenses from 30 feet out, still forces game plans to revolve around him, and gives the Warriors a chance every night with just one heat check. Even when he's not scoring, his movement and spacing unlock everything. Curry's genius isn't just in the shooting, it's how he creates gravity. That's a skill that hasn't aged out, and as long as he can run off screens and launch fireballs from deep, he's still elite. James Harden is putting up nearly 27 points a game in 2026. and doing it with the same herky-jerky rhythm that's made defenders look foolish for over a decade. He might not get to the rim like he used to, but the step-back three still hits, and he's one of the best at controlling pace in half-court settings. He doesn't rely on speed anymore. He never really did. It's footwork, deception, and reading the defender's soul before taking the shot. His defense isn't going to win any awards, but his offense is still surgical. Harden can still be the guy to close a game, get to the line, or create a bucket when things get tight. That matters, even if the beard's got more gray in it now. Kawhi Leonard may not play every night, but when he's out there, he's still terrifying. In limited games this season, he's averaging over 24 points, grabbing boards, dishing assists, and racking up steals like nothing has changed. And honestly, not much has. He still gets to his spots, still hits contested mid-range shots with ease, and still locks up wings when the game's on the line. Kawhi doesn't smile often, but the numbers are grinning. His load is managed, sure, but when it's playoff time or crunch time, he's still that guy. The legs may need rest, but the hands still have a championship grip. Jimmy Butler continues to age like coffee, strong and increasingly necessary. He's not lighting up the scoreboard every night, but his impact is felt everywhere. On defense, he's still physical and smart. Offensively, he gets to his spots, draws contact, and makes the tough mid-range jumper look routine. He's the guy you trust in the fourth quarter and the guy you trust in the locker room. His leadership and clutch instincts haven't faded at all. He's slowed down a bit, but he hasn't gotten weaker, just smarter. In a league full of flashy stars, Butler's one of the few who thrives in the mud, and teams still need that grit. DeMar refuses to let age write his ending. He just keeps scoring. The mid-range game is still surgical, the footwork is still clean, and he still gets to his spots like it's scripted. He's averaged over 20 points a game for over a decade, and he's not stopping now. He's not the quickest guy on the floor anymore, but his timing, control, and decision-making are sharper than ever. He doesn't waste possessions, doesn't force the issue, and doesn't panic when the shot clock's ticking down. DeMar's game was built for longevity, and it's showing. He's not a highlight reel star anymore, but he's still a bucket, and teams know it. These 7 are the blueprint for staying relevant when the clock keeps ticking. They've traded bounce for brains, speed for savvy, and yet still managed to stay in the conversation because greatness doesn't expire. Whether it's scoring, leadership, or just refusing to fade away, they're proving you don't have to be young to be dominant. You just have to know how to last. Level 5, clear first option. Tyrese Maxey is having the kind of season that screams, put the team on my back. He's near the top of the league in scoring and is getting used like a credit card during Black Friday. With the team's offense running almost entirely through him, there's no question he's their go-to guy. His points per game rank among the highest in the league, and his minutes and usage rate back that up. You don't land in that conversation unless your team is counting on you to create offense almost every trip down the floor. There's no other star next to him pulling that kind of weight this year, so Maxey isn't just filling in. He's the one setting the tone. Pascal's path to this level came through opportunity, but he's made the most of it. With his primary backcourt teammate out for the season, Pascal's role has ballooned. He's now doing just about everything short of sweeping the locker room. The scoring numbers are solid, but more importantly, he's delivering under pressure. There's a big difference between volume and efficiency, and Pascal's pulling both off, putting up strong shooting lines while carrying the load. The Pacers need a lead guy, and without another star to lean on, Pascal has stepped into that void with the confidence of someone who's been there before. His skill set fits the bill. Inside scoring, rebounding, half-court creation, the blueprint for a team's top option, even if the supporting cast has a few cracks. Jaylen Brown has turned into the Celtics' primary weapon this year thanks to the absence of his co-star. Without that shared spotlight, he's had the green light, and he's answered by going off for high-efficiency, high-volume performances. That's the difference maker here. Brown isn't just taking more shots, he's actually converting at a level that keeps his team competitive. There's no debate about where the ball's going late in games right now. He's showing that he can carry a playoff caliber squad without the usual offensive safety net. Not every elite scorer is cut out to be a number one option, but Brown's making the case that when called upon, he has that gear. Now let's talk Lauri. He's not just stretching the floor, he's stretching expectation. The scoring numbers are up there with the best in the league, and he's not padding them. He's producing through contact, spacing the floor, hitting from deep, and even leading comeback. That 51-point game was no fluke. It was the type of performance that shows you what he's capable of when the offense leans his direction. His height and shooting touch make him a unique matchup nightmare. Not every 7-footer has the footwork or range to keep a defense honest like that. This season, He's proven he can be the centerpiece of an offense, not just a complimentary scorer or decoy. Anthony Davis brings something completely different to this level, a heavy dose of experience and two-way dominance. He's not lighting up the scoreboard in highlight reel ways every night, but the impact is still massive. When he's healthy, he's anchoring both ends. He doesn't just score inside, he intimidates on the other end, controls the glass, and changes how opposing offenses operate. That kind of presence makes him the natural fulcrum of any lineup. The wear and tear is real, and everyone knows it. But when he's on the floor, he gives his team structure. Not flashy, not loud, but fully capable of taking over games with interior scoring, rebounding, and rim protection. That balance between offense and defense makes him one of the few true lead bigs in the league who can dominate without needing the spotlight. Then there's Zion Williamson. When he's out there, it's like the laws of physics take a day off. He's still putting up over 20 points a night, with solid rebounding and a bit of playmaking thrown in. The raw production is there. He still has those jaw-dropping moments, charging into defenders and finishing through bodies like it's nothing. But it always circles back to availability. When healthy, he's a potential franchise face. The talent's not in question. He's an offensive wrecking ball. But relying on him as a consistent first option is where things get complicated. If he's not on the floor, none of that upside matter. When he is, though, the whole offense shifts. He forces mismatches, collapses defenses, and can take over games with power and pace. That alone keeps him in the conversation, even with all the uncertainty. All 6 of these guys have carved out their space in the clear first option tier. Maxey is leading from the perimeter, Brown stepping up in the spotlight. Pascal's doing it out of necessity, Laurie's stretching into star territory, Davis is holding things down with all-around impact, and Zion, he's a high-wire act with everything to gain if he can stay in the air. Different routes to the same level, each showing how a first option doesn't have to look the same to get results. Level 6, franchise changer. Anthony Edwards is playing like someone who's had enough of moral victories. He's scoring nearly 30 points a night, putting defenders in spin cycles, and doing it with the kind of swagger that makes you rethink your team's scouting department. He's still young, which makes the output even more impressive. Most guys are just figuring out how to dribble without looking down at this point in their careers. And here he is, already carrying a playoff-level offense. He's not just dunking over people for the highlight reel, he's getting buckets every which way, hitting tough shots, and defending when it matters. That blend of athleticism, confidence, and shot creation gives him everything a franchise would want to build around. There's not a whole lot of mystery here. If you're starting a team tomorrow, Edwards is one of the names you have to think about. Wemby looks like a creative player turned loose in real life. There's nobody like him. His wingspan is longer than most career arcs, and he's using it to block shots like it's personal. He's rebounding like a vacuum and logging big minutes already. The offensive side, still developed, but even now, he's contributing and stretching the floor. He's not just tall, he's coordinated, mobile, and weirdly fluid for someone who looks like he was built in a lab. If he keeps progressing, especially on offense, he's the kind of player who changes how a team is constructed entirely. You don't just plug Wemby in, you build around him. Floor spacing, rim protection, tempo, all of it changes the second he steps on the court. Donovan Mitchell may not have a cape, but he's doing a pretty good superhero impersonation in terms of consistency. You know exactly what you're getting with scoring, toughness, and shot making. He's one of the few guys who can get you 25 points without breaking a sweat, and then drop 40 when things tighten up. He's not a maybe, he's a proven commodity. That's what makes him such a franchise-level piece. You can slot him in, and you've got instant credibility. Mitchell gives you playoff firepower, leadership, and that rare, give me the ball mentality late in games. He might not be the flashiest pick for a rebuild, but if you want to go from middle of the pack to real contender, he's one of the guys you call. Jalen Brunson's not built like a traditional franchise player, but that hasn't stopped him from dragging a team uphill. He's producing like a star, running the offense, and showing up every night with a calmness that looks suspiciously like control. He's not just managing the game, he's bending it to his will. He scores when needed, sets the tone, and doesn't shrink in the big moments. That's what you want from a foundational guard. He gives your team an identity. He's not a highlight chaser, he's a winner. When you've got a guy like Brunson, you don't need to hope your rookie's pan out. You've already got a grown-up steering the ship. Cade Cunningham is finally doing what everyone hoped he would when he came into the league. He's putting up big numbers, leading the offense, and looking like he's playing 3 moves ahead of everyone else. The points, assists, rebounds, all up, but it's the way he's doing it that stands out. He controls the pace, makes smart reads, and gets guys involved. If his jumper holds up and he stays aggressive, there's no question he's the kind of player you rebuild around. He's not just scoring, he's shaping how the team plays. That's what separates him from the average stat pattern. He dictates flow, tempo, and the overall vibe of the offense. When your point guard does that, you're not far from relevance. Devin Booker has been doing this for years, and that's the point. He's not guessing anymore. He's mastered it. Still giving you 25 plus per game, still handling the offense, still the guy everyone looks to when the game gets serious. There's a reason he hit 17,000 career points already. He just shows up and produces. No drama, no second thoughts. If your team's trying to contend, he's the guy you want leading the offense. He's seen everything, adapted to everything, and still puts pressure on defenses like it's his job, because it is. He's not loud about it, but Booker is one of the most stable franchise cornerstones in the league, and he's showing no signs of slowing down. Paulo Banchero is putting together the kind of season that makes coaches trust him with the ball, early and often. He's doing a bit of everything, scoring over 20 points, pulling down rebounds, finding open teammates, and he's doing it while looking like he's got another gear left. That's scary. He's not just tall and skilled, he's also smart, patient, and capable of adjusting mid-game. As a young forward, that versatility makes him incredibly valuable. He doesn't need plays drawn up for him to contribute. He finds his spots, picks his moments, and keeps the team in rhythm. If he tightens up the shooting and keeps developing defensively, you're looking at a player who can anchor a team for a decade. What ties these 7 together is that they don't just play well, they alter what's possible for their franchises. Edwards brings electricity and leadership. Wemby's a one-man blueprint. Mitchell's a walking playoff ticket. Brunson brings composure and direction. Cade's setting a new foundation. Booker brings production and trust. Paolo brings versatility and promise. These are the players teams gamble big on, because when it works, everything changes. Level 7, best of the best. Nikola Jokic is still doing things that make you double-check if the box score is broken. He's leading the league in assists and rebounds from the center position. That's not normal. Actually, none of what he does is normal. He's putting up nearly triple-double numbers without even looking like he's trying. He reads the floor like a point guard, throws passes like a quarterback, and finishes around the rim like a power forward. There's no gimmick here. It's just a masterclass in control. When Jokic is on the floor, the whole offense flows through him, and it works. He's not flashy, he's not loud, but he's efficient in a way that breaks basketball. His player efficiency rating is breaking records again. And when your advanced stats look like typos, you know you're cooking. But it's not just the numbers, it's the fact that he carries every piece of the offense while still anchoring the rebounding and tempo. When he sits, the team looks like it forgot how to play. That's the impact. He defines what it means to be a basketball engine. Shea is not sneaking up on anyone anymore. He's scoring over 30 points a night and doing it without wasting possession. He doesn't need 30 shots to get there. He's doing it with efficiency, timing, and total control. He lives in the mid-range, gets to the line, finds open teammates, and picks his spots like a vet. What separates him is that he's not just scoring. He's creating offense for everybody. His impact isn't just about getting buckets. It's about dictating how the defense plays. Teams bend around him. He draws double. He collapses coverage. And he makes the right decision over and over again. He's also showing real leadership, both on the court and in how the team performs. You take him off that roster, and everything falls apart. He's the blueprint for a modern franchise guard. Calm, deadly, and always in control. Giannis is still turning basketball into demolition work. Nearly 29 points, over 10 boards, 6 assists, and shooting nearly 64% from the field. That's ridiculous. Nobody else in the league can physically dominate like he does while still being this efficient. He gets downhill, dunks over help defenders, then comes back and swats a shot into the third row. It's not just production, it's presence. You can feel him change the energy of a game every time he checks in. He's still one of the best two-way players in the league, and even though he's been at this level for a while, he hasn't lost a step. What he brings? Elite scoring, defense, rebounding, versatility, doesn't show any signs of slowing down. And the scary part is, he keeps refining the little things. His passing, his post footwork, his decision-making in tight spots. He's not just dominant, he's smarter than he used to be. That's what keeps him here at the top. Luka is doing the basketball equivalent of carrying the piano up the stairs, then sitting down and playing it. He's leading the league in scoring with over 35 points a game, while also averaging nearly 9 rebounds and 9 assists. There's nobody else combining that kind of usage with that kind of all-around output. And he's doing it while facing double teams every game. Luka controls pace better than anyone in the league. He slows the game down to his speed, and once you're there, he makes you play his game. He can hit step backs, throw cross-court lasers, bully smaller defenders, and shoot over bigger ones. He's a mismatch that can't be solved. When he's locked in, you can't stop him. You just try to survive. His workload is absurd, but somehow he still makes it look easy. These four are operating on a completely different plane. Jokic plays like he's got cheat codes. Shea slices up defenses with surgical calm. Giannis powers through everything like a runaway truck, but with ballet footwork. Luka makes high usage look like jazz. What makes them special isn't just what they do individually, it's how they lift their teams just by existing on the court. They don't just perform, they warp reality for everyone else. Teams scheme for them, but the schemes usually don't work. Their presence shifts the balance of the game before the ball's even tipped. This isn't just about stats or highlight, it's about impact, control, and dominance. You build your whole franchise philosophy around these guys because they don't just change games. They change what winning looks like. If you enjoyed this, I'm gonna be posting a lot here. I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching. Pre-season, the stage was already buzzing. By the time teams started getting ready for training camp, the draft had already sent a bunch of top prospects to their new homes. Karl Anthony Towns in Minnesota, D'Angelo Russell landing in Los Angeles, and Porzingis heading into the New York pressure cooker. But the draft wasn't just about top picks. Teams were flipping players and rights, like they were dealing cards at a casino. Luke Ridnour, for example, got passed around so fast he might have needed a GPS just to keep up with where he technically played. By the time the summer moved past the draft, trades were popping up across the league. Houston got Ty Lawson from Denver, stacking up guards like they were bracing for some kind of perimeter short. Boston pulled in David Lee, and Dallas grabbed Zaza from Milwaukee, who seemed to be cleaning out every drawer in the house. Detroit got Marcus Morris and a couple others from Phoenix, in what looked like a move to just lighten the load out west. But let's not pretend anything that summer came close to the chaos of the DeAndre Jordan saga. Jordan had verbally agreed to head to Dallas. It seemed like a done deal. 4 years, $80 million. Dallas started rearranging their whole roster, expecting him to anchor their defense and gobble up rebounds. Then, out of nowhere, everything flipped. The Clippers pulled off a last-minute scramble that felt more like a reality show than an NBA negotiation. Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, Doc Rivers, and the whole crew flew out to Houston to keep Jordan from signing with Dallas. They holed up in his house until the official signing window opened. No one was getting in. Dallas folks were locked out, literally and metaphorically. The entire thing played out live online. Chandler Parsons tweeted a plain emoji. Clippers players fired back with cars and padlocks. Griffin even posted a picture of a chair propped under a doorknob. Meanwhile, Dallas was left on the outside, looking in while Jordan ended up re-signing with the Clippers for about $87 million. The aftermath, heated interviews, social media fireworks, and Mark Cuban reportedly cruising around Houston trying to find Jordan's house. Cuban denied that, but the damage was done. Parsons called Jordan unprofessional, and Dallas was left scrambling to rework their plan without a franchise center. All that chaos only made the rest of the offseason look even more businesslike in comparison. Teams were still working to reshuffle and retool. San Antonio re-signed Tim Duncan and pulled in LaMarcus Aldridge with a 4-year, $80 million deal. It wasn't a huge surprise, but it signaled the Spurs were still going all in while Duncan was around. Golden State kept Draymond Green locked in with a multi-year deal. They weren't blowing things up, just reloading. The Clippers added some pieces too, including Paul Pierce and Josh Smith. Dallas, licking its wounds from the Jordan mess, brought in D. Will and tried to make something out of the Zaza trade. Plenty of other teams got in on the free agency carousel. The Lakers made a rare move and signed Roy Hibbert. Sacramento stocked up with Rajon Rondo, Marco Bellinelli, and Costa Koufos. Miami added Stat and Gerald Green, while also keeping D. Wade and Goran Dragic. Toronto added Carroll Bismack and Corey Joseph to boost their depth. Indiana brought in Monte Ellis and Jordan Hill, trying to build some new chemistry around Paul George. Even Boston stayed active, re-signing Jay Crowder and bringing in Amir Johnson, David Lee, and a handful of others. But despite all the signings, one thing stood out. This offseason wasn't packed with superstar moves. It was more about maintaining continuity, adjusting on the margins, and avoiding financial disasters. Restricted free agents like Kawhi Leonard and Jimmy Butler stayed put. San Antonio's move for Aldridge, though, was seen as one of the biggest deals. Not just because of the talent, but because it sent a clear message. They were still hunting for a title. Aldridge gave them another option next to Duncan, and the combo of experience and firepower had people paying attention. Meanwhile, Steve Kerr's back issues meant Golden State had to make an early adjustment. Luke Walton stepped in as interim head coach during training camp. Not exactly the smoothest start for the defending champs, but the structure was already in place. Other teams were shuffling coaching staffs, exploring their options. Denver was deep in their search, with names like Mike D'Antoni and Alvin Gentry floating around. It wasn't just about rosters. It was about who would be running the show from the sidelines. By late September, camps were opening up. Teams filled rosters with fringe players, undrafted guys, and vets on their last chances. Minnesota made some early noise with hints at rotation changes. Golden State had to adjust without Kerr. Every team had a storyline brewing. Even the leftover effects of the previous trade deadline were still hanging over the league. 37 players moved back in February, with a mess of draft picks included. That wild flurry of activity only added more pressure for teams to make the right summer moves. And then there were all those minor trades and roster tweaks. Zoran Dragic went to Boston, Ray McCallum headed to San Antonio, and Milwaukee quietly offloaded Jared Dudley. These weren't headliners, but they all added up. Teams were fine-tuning, shedding contracts, creating space, and stockpiling assets. The bigger picture? A league in transition. Some teams were building from the ground up with rookies like Towns and Porzingis. Others were tweaking, trying to hold on to windows that were slowly closing. There wasn't a massive shift in star power, but there was a sense that everything was being positioned for something bigger down the road. No team wanted to be the one that missed their moment, and the ones that did, well, they'd be hearing about it all year long. Because in the NBA, the preseason isn't a warm-up, it's the opening move. And in 2015, the board got flipped before the first game even started. Regular season. The league turned 70 and decided to throw itself a record-breaking party. Golden State went on a tear that ended in 73 wins and just 9 losses, making that the best regular season record in NBA history. They made over 1,000 three-pointers, led the league in scoring, assists, and shooting percentages, and had a point differential that made opponents question their career choices. Steph Curry turned into a video game character, dropping over 30 points per game and becoming the first player ever to hit 400 threes in one season. He didn't just win the Most Valuable Player award, he swept every vote. The league had never seen a unanimous MVP until Curry casually dropped that into the mix while averaging over 2 steals and nearly 91% from the free throw line. Meanwhile, Kobe Bryant announced he was calling it a career, and suddenly, every road game turned into a farewell tour. Every arena gave him a tribute. Jerseys, montages, you name it. He played in 66 games and averaged over 17 points per night. But the real show was his final game. 60 points against Utah, a full-blown curtain call in front of a roaring crowd. On the opposite end of the Magic, the Philadelphia 76ers managed to set a different kind of record. They started the season with 17 straight losses and broke the single-season losing streak record by hitting 28 straight. They finally got a win on December 1st, just barely beating the Lakers, who were also experiencing their own brand of basketball despair. The Eastern Conference actually had 8 playoff teams finish above 500 for the first time in a decade. Meanwhile, the Lakers finished 17-65, which was their worst season ever. Dirk Nowitzki reached his 10,000th field goal on November 30th, becoming the 13th player to ever do that. Kevin Garnett passed Jason Kidd for 3rd most games played and added a couple more milestones to the resume. 26,000 career points and the all-time lead in defensive rebounds. Paul Gasol played his 1,000th game. December turned into an achievement checklist. Rajon Rondo got his 5,000th assist. Paul Pierce passed 26,000 points. And Dirk flew past Shaq to become the 6th highest scorer in league history. Dwight Howard reached 15,000 points. And LeBron James kept climbing the all-time scoring list, passing Alex English by the end of the year. Then came the trade deadline. It wasn't as wild as some years, but 18 teams got involved and 24 players were moved. Lance and a future pick were sent to Memphis, with Jeff Green heading to the Clippers. Markieff Morris went to Washington, and the Suns got back Chris Humphries, DeJuan Blair, and a first-round pick. Joel Anthony was dumped on the 76ers in a deal that barely registered for anyone outside of salary cap trackers. Brian Roberts was traded twice on the same day, becoming the human equivalent of a conference call no one wanted to join. A lot of the trades involved role players, depth shuffles, or tax relief. Nothing seismic, but enough to shift playoff rotations around the edges. Stat leaders painted a clear picture of who ran the show. Curry led the league in points per game and efficiency. Drummond pulled down almost 15 rebounds per game for Detroit. And Rondo dished nearly 12 assists per game in Sacramento. Whiteside was blocking shots like his life depended on it, averaging almost 4 per game. Redick led the league in three-point percentage, and DeAndre Jordan somehow made over 70% of his shots, while shooting mostly from inside the restricted area. James Harden led the league in minutes and turnovers, setting the single-season turnover record with 374. Yes, he broke the record, then kept going, like it was a personal challenge. The Warriors roster, already stacked, benefited from team chemistry that had been building for years. The ball zipped around, shooters found space, and the defense wasn't just decent. It held teams under 100 points on most nights, while the offense buried them in threes. All the headlines and highlight reels made it easy to forget just how deep the league was. San Antonio quietly won 67 games behind a smothering defense and Kawhi Leonard's steady rise. Cleveland kept its grip on the East, cruising toward a top seed, even while juggling injuries and mid-season lineup tweaks. Even in the middle of the standings, teams were jockeying hard for position. The Raptors leaned on Kyle Lowry and DeMar, while Boston's scrappy depth kept them competitive. Miami found a groove with a mix of veterans like D. Wade and younger talent, while Charlotte surprised people by sneaking into the mix. Houston and Chicago both underwhelmed relative to expectations, barely scraping into the playoffs. New Orleans was a mess of injuries, and Sacramento's drama never took a vacation. Some teams were clearly building, others treading water, and a few were already thinking about the lottery before the All-Star break. By January, it was clear the season was shaping up as a race to catch Golden State, which, spoiler alert, nobody did. The Warriors opened the season with 24 straight wins, setting a new record for best start in NBA history. It took Milwaukee to finally hand them their first loss. Media buzz was constant. Could they reach 72? Could they go 82-0? The conversation shifted every week as they kept climbing. Every loss made headline. Every win just felt inevitable. And as they kept climbing, the pressure started building. While all that noise was happening, Portland quietly put together a solid year, led by Damian Lillard, who didn't make the All-Star game, but definitely let everyone know about it. Utah made a late push, and Phoenix just kind of unraveled. Brooklyn and the Lakers were in free fall. By the time April rolled around, the playoff picture was mostly set. Some final jockeying for seeds happened, but the biggest story was still the Warriors closing in on win number 73. On April 13th, they got it, and the regular season ended with history made. All that remained was the question: could the team with the greatest regular season ever back it up in the playoffs? That answer would have to wait. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, awards. Steph Curry didn't just win Most Valuable Player, he broke the voting system. Every single first place vote went to him. 131 voters, 131 times his name was on top. That made him the first unanimous MVP in league history. His stats were ridiculous: 30 points per game, over 6 assists, 5 rebounds, over 2 steals, shooting over 50% from the field, nearly 46% from deep, and over 90% from the line. He led the league in several advanced stats too, including nearly 18 win shares and over 31 in player efficiency. No one else came close. Second in the MVP vote was Kawhi Leonard, who had 634 points. LeBron James followed right behind at 631. That tells you how far ahead Curry was. He scored the maximum possible and left everyone else scrambling for runner-up. Speaking of Kawhi, he didn't leave the year empty-handed. He walked off with Defensive Player of the Year. He got 84 first-place votes and 547 total points, giving him a comfortable lead over Draymond Green, who finished second with 44 first-place votes and 421 points. Kawhi was everywhere on defense. He averaged nearly 2 steals and 1 block a game, while also putting up over 21 points. He shot over 50% from the field and hit nearly 44% from 3. He played over 33 minutes a night and anchored one of the top defensive units in the league. His win shares topped 13, and his impact was felt on both ends of the court. Rookie of the Year went to Karl Anthony Towns, and honestly, it wasn't close. He played in all 82 games and averaged over 18 points, 10 rebounds, and nearly 2 blocks per game. His shooting splits were impressive for a first-year center: 54% from the field, over 34% from 3, and 81% from the free throw line. Porzingis made things interesting early in the season, but Towns never slowed down. Porzingis came in second with a voting share of about 56%, while Towns ran away with the rest. Nikola Jokic finished third, giving the rookie class some serious long-term potential. Jamal Crawford took home 6th Man of the Year. He didn't start, but he finished plays. He averaged over 14 points per game off the bench, shot 40% from the field, and hit over 90% of his free throws. He pulled in 51 first-place votes and 341 total points. Iggy was close behind with 33 first-place votes, but couldn't quite catch up. McCollum was named Most Improved Player, and that wasn't a surprise to anyone paying attention. He made a huge leap, jumping from under 7 points per game the previous season to nearly 21. He added over 4 assists and 3 rebounds per game, while shooting over 41% from 3 and nearly 45% overall. He led the voting with 101 first-place votes and 559 total points, giving him a dominant share near 86%. Coach of the Year went to Steve Kerr. The guy missed part of the season due to health issues, but still guided Golden State to 73 wins. He became the 3rd Warriors coach to ever win the award, joining Alex Hannum and Don Nelson. All NBA first team included Curry, Westbrook, LeBron, Kawhi, and DeAndre Jordan. Curry's spot was unanimous. Westbrook and LeBron were near locks, and Kawhi had both offensive and defensive credentials. Jordan's selection got people talking. His defense and rebounding were elite, but some questioned his place over other scoring bigs. Second team featured Chris Paul, Kevin Durant, Damian Lillard, Draymond Green, and DeMarcus Cousins. Third team had Kyle Lowry, Klay Thompson, Paul George, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Drummond. The depth of talent across all 3 teams was clear, and plenty of those guys could have made a case for higher placement. The all-defensive first team included Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan, Avery Bradley, Draymond Green, and Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi and Green were no-brainers. Bradley's perimeter defense got him there, and Jordan's rim protection helped secure his spot. Chris Paul's defensive IQ and consistency rounded it out. Second team included Whiteside, Tony Allen, Jimmy Butler, Paul Millsap, and Paul George. Whiteside was leading the league in blocks. Allen was still a menace, and Butler and George handled the toughest assignments night after night. The all-rookie first team was loaded. Towns, Porzingis, Jokic, Okafor, and Devin Booker made the cut. That group ended up defining future seasons for their teams. Second team had Moutier, D'Angelo Russell, Winslow, Turner, and Cauley Stein. Those picks reflected both production and potential. Executive of the Year went to R.C. Buford in San Antonio. His front office moves and long-term vision paid off with another elite regular season run. Mike Conley won the Sportsmanship Award, proving you can be competitive without throwing elbows. Wayne Ellington received the Citizenship Award, recognizing his off-court efforts. Vince Carter was named Teammate of the Year, because of course he was. 20 seasons deep and still making locker rooms better. Some of the award margins were especially interesting. Curry's unanimous MVP was a league first. Not one voter gave anyone else the top spot. Kawhi's win over Green in defensive player voting wasn't razor thin, but it wasn't a landslide either. He had just 40 more first place votes. McCollum's most improved numbers were dominant, and no one else was within reach. DeAndre Jordan's spot on the All-NBA first team was a lightning rod. Some fans and analysts questioned whether he deserved it over Cousins or even Drummond. His defense and rebounding were his main selling points, and he was on a team that won a lot of games. For sixth man, Crawford's scoring off the bench got the headline, but Iggy's all-around game nearly pulled off the upset. Voters clearly had to decide between flashy scoring and do-everything versatility. The all-rookie selections showed how deep the class was. Towns and Jokic both ended up becoming franchise cornerstones. Booker was already showing signs he could be elite, and Porzingis had New York buzzing. The year was packed with standout performances, but it also reminded everyone that the award races can be more than just stat sheets. They're about narrative, momentum, team success, and the eye test. For most categories, the choices were pretty clear, but a few definitely sparked debate. Bottom line, the awards for 2015 to 2016 gave us a clear snapshot of who ruled the league, who was rising, and who still had more to prove. Every ballot told a story, and the voters didn't hold back. Season highs. Kobe Bryant delivered the highest scoring performance of the entire season in his final game ever. April 13th, 2016, against Utah. 42 minutes, 60 points. Just saying it out loud sounds like something pulled from a movie script. He also added 4 rebounds and 4 assists. That game wasn't just a farewell, it was an explosion. No player scored more in a single game that season, and nobody came close in terms of theatrics. But if you're looking for dominance in the paint, Drummond stole that show. On November 3rd, 2015, against Indiana, he pulled down 29 rebounds. That's the highest single game rebound total of the year. Not 20, not 25, 29. He added 25 points and played 43 minutes. It was a full court takeover. Rajon Rondo owned the passing lanes all season, but he peaked twice. He had not one, but 2 20-assist games. First, on November 23rd, and then again on January 25th. Both games were with Sacramento, and in the January one against Charlotte, he tossed those 20 dimes while adding 10 rebounds and 7 points in 42 minutes. That's a triple-double missing the points. Steals had no single ruler. Instead, 4 players. tied at the top with 8 apiece. James Harden did it on March 23rd against Utah. Pablo Prigioni got his 8 on January 13th when Houston faced Miami. Ricky Rubio swiped his 8 against the Knicks on December 16th. Whiteside made sure no one got anything easy at the rim. He logged 11 blocks in a single game on January 15th against Denver. That wasn't just a random performance. He also scored 19 points and pulled down 17 rebounds. In 38 minutes, he was the tallest wall in the league. 11 blocks? That's a stat line most bigs would dream about in a week. Now let's talk about threes. Steph Curry put on a show on February 27th against Oklahoma City. That night, he made 12 three-pointers, tying the record at the time for most in a game. He ended with 46 points and didn't just win the game, he shattered the Thunder's morale. That was also the night he broke his own single-season record for threes and passed Kyle Korver for the most consecutive games with a 3 made. That number was 128 at the time. That game wasn't just record-setting, it was Curry at his most dangerous. One of those 12 threes came from nearly 40 feet out in overtime to win the game. That shot alone could have been its own headline. While Kobe had the 60-point explosion, Anthony Davis wasn't far behind. On February 21st against Detroit, Davis scored 59 points and grabbed 20 rebounds. That's the only 50-plus, 20-rebound game of the season. That game actually came just 2 days before Curry's 12-3 night. So yes, late February had some of the most ridiculous performances all year. To add some extra perspective, Drummond's 29-rebound game was 4 more than the next best. Rebounding numbers like that just don't happen anymore in a modern pace and space league. His line that night was straight out of the 90s. Whiteside's 11-block night stood out not just for the total, but because it wasn't padded. He also added 19 and 17, creating a near triple-double with blocks instead of assists. There was only one other double-digit block performance that season, and Whiteside had that too. Rondo's 20-assist games weren't just flashy. They came at a time when the Kings were experimenting with a fast-paced offense and letting him orchestrate every possession. In both of those games, he had over 40 minutes played and kept the ball moving nonstop. It's rare to hit 20 once, and he did it twice. James Harden's 8-steal game was the only time he led the league in that category. The rest of the season, he was more known for his offense, but that night, he turned into a ball-hawking menace. It's worth noting that despite the 8 steals, he still led the league in turnovers for the season. That night, though, he flipped the script. Pablo Prigioni, on the other hand, wasn't known for gaudy stat lines, but he found a rhythm against Miami and just picked them apart on defense. He only played 16 minutes in that game. 8 steals in 16 minutes is absurd. That ratio doesn't even look real. Curry's 12 threes weren't a fluke either. He had multiple games that season with double-digit three-pointers made. And the way he was shooting, it wasn't just the volume, it was the range, the timing, and the confidence. That game against the Thunder was one of the most iconic games of his career. Bookending the season, Kobe's 60 came in the final game of the entire regular season. That same night, the Warriors locked up their 73rd win. So April 13th wasn't just about one final moment, it was a night that capped off a season full of single-game absurdity. There were other wild games. Klay Thompson had a 45-point night. Jimmy Butler scored 53 in a comeback win over Philadelphia. Damian Lillard dropped 51 on Golden State and did it with swagger. But none of those quite reached the top of the leaderboard. Even with all that firepower, Curry's 12 threes and Kobe's 60 remain the gold standards. They were moments that grabbed the attention of casual fans, stat nerds, and historians all at once. When you break down these season highs, you're not just looking at numbers, you're looking at performances that defined careers, shattered records, and sometimes broke the internet. These were the games everyone talked about the next morning. Every stat line had its own story. Drummond controlled the glass. Rondo dropped dimes like it was 2011 again. Whiteside turned into a shot blocking machine. Harden and Rubio turned into pickpocket specialists. And Kobe, he didn't just go out with a bang. He made sure no one else could touch that scoring mark all year. And for one final night, he owned the league one more time. Playoffs. The 2016 NBA playoffs ran from April 16th to June 19th with 16 teams battling for the title. Cleveland ended up winning the championship in historic fashion, taking down Golden State in 7 games. It was the franchise's first title and the first time any team came back from a 3-1 deficit in the finals. LeBron James was named Finals MVP, and the postseason was loaded with chaos, comebacks, suspensions, and records. In the first round, Cleveland swept Detroit 4-0. Kyrie averaged nearly 28 points. Kevin Love pulled down around 12 rebounds a game, and LeBron did everything else. The sweep ended with Game 4 being the final playoff game ever played at the Palace of Auburn Hills. Toronto and Indiana went to 7 games, with the Raptors finally getting their first Game 7 win. Charlotte and Miami also went to 7, with Miami taking Atlanta beat Boston in 6 games. In the West, Golden State handled Houston in 5, setting a record for most threes in a game with 21. Portland took out the Clippers in 6, and the Thunder knocked off the Spurs in 6 as well, despite San Antonio's 67-win regular season. In the second round, Cleveland stayed perfect, sweeping Atlanta with another barrage of 3. In Game 2, they hit 25 from deep, 18 in the first half alone. Toronto and Miami went another full 7 games, and Toronto reached the conference finals for the first time ever. Golden State faced Portland in the second round and closed it out in 5. Steph Curry returned from injury in Game 4 and dropped 17 in overtime to seal it. Oklahoma City beat San Antonio again, which had shocked many after the Spurs dominated Game 1 with a 30-point win. In the Eastern Conference Finals, Cleveland jumped out 2-0 lead against Toronto with dominant home win. The Raptors responded with 2 impressive wins in Toronto, tying the series. But Cleveland closed the door, winning Game 5 by 38 and Game 6 by 26. LeBron had 33 in the clincher, while Love added 20 points and 12 rebounds. In the West, the conference finals between Golden State and Oklahoma City turned into a classic. The Thunder took Game 1 in Oakland, then Golden State responded with a blowout in Game 2. Oklahoma City then crushed the Warriors in Games 3 and 4, putting the defending champs on the brink. Golden State won Game 5, at home behind Curry's 31 points. Game 6 became legendary. Klay Thompson hit 11 three-pointers and finished with 41 points, setting a new playoff record for threes made in a game. The Warriors came back to win by 7. In Game 7, Curry led the way with 36, and the Warriors used a 29-12 third quarter to flip the game. That comeback made them the 10th team in history to rally from down 3-1 in a series. It was also the first Western Conference Finals to go the distance since 2002. That Game 7 was also the last time Kevin Durant played for the Thunder. The finals started in Oakland. Golden State took Game 1 by 15, winning the bench battle 45-10. Game 2 was a 21-point blowout, with the Warriors up by 48 combined over the first 2 games. Cleveland came back with a 30-point win in Game 3, but dropped Game 4 at home, putting the series at 3-1. That's when it flipped. Draymond Green was suspended for Game 5 after picking up his 4th flagrant foul point in Game 4. Without him, Cleveland stormed Oracle Arena and won by 15. LeBron and Kyrie both scored 41 points, the first time 2 teammates ever scored 40 or more in the same finals game. Game 6 in Cleveland saw more drama. Curry fouled out and threw his mouthpiece into the stands, getting ejected. LeBron had 41 again, and the Cavaliers forced Game 7s with a 14-point win. Game 7 became one of the most famous games in NBA history. With the score tied at 89, late in the 4th, LeBron chased down Iggy and blocked his layup attempt off the backboard. Then Kyrie drilled a 3 over Curry to give Cleveland the lead for good. LeBron was fouled on a dunk attempt shortly after and made 1 free throw to seal it. Golden State's final shot was a Curry 3 defended by Kevin Love, which missed. Cleveland won 93-89 and took home the championship. They became the first team to win a Finals Game 7 on the road since 1978. LeBron was the clear Finals MVP. He averaged nearly 30 points, over 11 rebounds, nearly 9 assists, and over 2 blocks and 2 steals per game. He became the first player ever to lead all players in a final series in all 5 major categories. The Warriors finished the season with 73 wins, but it wasn't enough. They became the first team to win over 70 games and not take the title. They also became the first to lose a 3-1 lead in the finals. Cleveland went 16-5 in the playoffs. They swept the first 2 rounds, beat Toronto in 6, and then took down Golden State in 7. Toronto finished with 10 playoff wins, their most ever in a single postseason. Golden State had already gone 7 games with the Thunder and came into the finals with tired legs. Draymond's suspension and Bogut's injury hurt their front court, and Curry's knee wasn't at full strength after the earlier rounds. The playoff run also elevated several players. Kyrie's clutch performance, Klay's explosion in Game 6 of the Western Finals, and Durant's strong showing, despite the collapse, added layers to the offseason. Shortly after the finals, Durant signed with the Warriors. Cleveland's title validated their mid-season coaching change. They had fired David Blatt and promoted Tyronn Lue, who helped build better chemistry and a more focused postseason attack. The playoffs were full of oddities, like Cleveland hitting a playoff record 25 threes in a game, Curry setting multiple shooting records, and Klay breaking the 3-point mark. The turning point of the finals remains Draymond's suspension. The Warriors had a 3-1 lead before losing 3 straight games. It was the first time all year they lost 3 in a row. From April to June, the story shifted over and over. There were comebacks, ejections, records, and one of the greatest Game 7s ever played. The 2016 playoffs didn't just crown a champion, they rewrote history. Offseason, Kevin Durant leaving Oklahoma City and signing with Golden State hit the league like a meteor. He signed a 2-year deal worth a little over $54 million with a player option on the second year. To make room, the Warriors dumped Andrew. Bogut's salary, flipping him to Dallas, along with a future pick. Then came a chain reaction. Golden State brought in Zaza, David West, and re-signed Ian Clark. Just like that, they reloaded around Curry, Thompson, Green, and Iggy with one of the most top-heavy rosters the league had seen. Teams across the league scrambled. The cap spike, jumping from around $70 million to over $94 million, flooded front offices with spending power. What followed was a spending spree that felt more like a game show than strategy. Detroit backed up the armored truck for Drummond with a 5-year deal worth around $130 million. They didn't stop there, tossing out deals to John Lawyer, Ish Smith, and Boban. Meanwhile, Boston scored Al Horford on a 4-year contract worth roughly $113 million, one of the biggest gets of the summer. Toronto made sure DeMar stayed in town, locking him up on a 5-year deal, close to $139 million. Charlotte threw nearly $120 million at Nicholas Batum, while the Lakers handed Jordan Clarkson $50 million over 4 years. And speaking of Los Angeles, the Lakers also gave Timofey Mozgov a 4-year deal worth around $64 million, a move that quickly aged like unrefrigerated milk. Miami secured Whiteside with a contract worth nearly $98 million over 4 years, but also handed Luol Deng a 4-year, $72 million deal. That one raised some eyebrows, even before training camp. Atlanta picked up Dwight Howard for a 3-year deal close to $70 million, trying to recapture some interior dominance. They also kept Kent Bazemore in the fold on a $70 million contract over 4 years. Memphis went full in on Mike Conley, giving him the biggest deal in league history at the time, 5 years, around $153 million. He became the highest paid player without ever making an all-star team, which felt like a trivia answer waiting to happen. Meanwhile, other teams filled out with more mid-level names. Jeremy Lin joined Brooklyn, and Bismack went to Orlando. There were trades too, though not as headline-grabbing as the Durant move. The 3-team trade involving Jeff Teague reshaped a few rosters. Teague went to Indiana, George Hill landed in Utah, and Atlanta grabbed the number 12 pick in the draft. That deal helped the Hawks clear space for Horford and Bazemore. Teague had been playing through a knee injury during the previous season, so Indiana was betting on a bounce back. Indiana also brought in Al Jefferson and Aaron Brooks to round out the bench. They lost Ian Mahinmi and Solomon Hill in the process, which wasn't nothing, but they hoped the new additions would make up for it. Utah, meanwhile, picked up George Hill to add experience and control to their backcourt. Golden State's reshuffling didn't stop at Durant. The Bogut deal, while essential for cap reasons, cost them a key defender. But the additions of David West and Zaza gave them cheaper veteran presence. The roster was getting top-heavy, but not without flexibility. A few small moves, like re-signing Clark and snagging bench pieces, helped balance it out. Detroit got louder too. After re-signing Drummond, they added size and depth by bringing in Bairstow and Jody Meeks through trades. It was clear they weren't content to sit still. Their front office went full Home Depot and bought every tool on the shelf. Around the league, smaller trades kept the wire buzzing. Teams shuffled expiring contracts, moved second-round picks, and handed out cash like confetti. Most of it was about clearing space or plugging holes, not seismic shifts. But even those minor moves added up in a summer when every team was chasing relevance. The cap jump didn't just shake things up, it turned regular free agency into a turbocharged frenzy. A lot of those contracts ended up being questionable. Overpaying for role players, aging veterans, or inconsistent production became the rule, not the exception. Teams with flexibility felt pressure to spend, and once Durant joined Golden State, the rest of the league seemed to panic. Oklahoma City was left picking up the pieces. Losing their franchise player forced them to pivot, putting everything on Russell Westbrook's shoulders. Golden State became the villain overnight, stacked with stars and running on all cylinders. Everyone else had to decide: chase stars, build slow, or throw money and hope it sticks. The offseason didn't just change rosters, it altered trajectories. Some of those deals became anchor contracts, others vanished quietly. 1982, North Carolina. This team didn't just compete like an NBA squad, they looked like one. Led by Dean Smith in his 21st season, the Tar Heels went 32-2 overall and finished ranked number 1 in the country. They didn't just top the ACC, they won the conference, then went all the way and took the national championship. Now, the roster. James Worthy was a junior and the team's anchor. He was the #1 pick in the NBA draft later that year and eventually became a Hall of Famer and a Finals MVP. Not bad. Then you had this freshman guard named Michael Jordan. I think you know who he is. He hit the game-winning shot in the title game and ended up going 3rd overall in the draft 2 years later. Yeah, that guy. Sam Perkins was right there too, a sophomore and a big-time contributor. He'd go 4th overall in the same draft as Jordan and carve out a long pro career. Beyond the big three, this team still had more depth. Jimmy Black got picked by the Nets. Chris Brust and Jeb Barlow were both selected by Denver. Matt Doherty and Cecil Exum got drafted later. It's wild how deep that team was with future pros, even if some didn't make regular NBA rotation. What made it all click was Dean Smith's system. His focus on motion offense, tight defense, and unselfish play translated straight to pro-style basketball. This wasn't some flash-in-the-pan season. Their game was smart, consistent, and controlled. The shot Jordan hit in the final, it became legendary. And it all started on this team, with this group on this run. Their combination of top picks, future legends, and NBA-ready style put them in a different class from most college squads. 2017 Kentucky. This team felt like a draft board in motion. Led by John Calipari, they finished with 32 wins and 6 losses, powered by a fast-paced attack that averaged nearly 85 points a game. They dominated the Southeastern Conference, going 16-2 and finished 5th in the final national poll. At the core was a freshman trio built for the pros. De'Aaron Fox ran the point with speed and control, averaging over 16 points and nearly 5 assists per game. Malik Monk was the high-flying scorer, putting up almost 20 points a night and catching fire multiple times, including a 47-point explosion. Then there was Bam, the interior anchor, with 13 points and 8 boards per game. That trio alone would all go in the lottery. Behind them, Isaiah Briscoe chipped in double-digit scoring and solid playmaking. Wenyen Gabriel and Derek Willis provided size and rebound, while Michael Mulder added veteran depth on the perimeter. Dominique Hawkins gave them energy, and Sasha Kalea-Jones and Isaac Humphries filled in with length. Fox was drafted 5th, Monk went 11th, and Bam was taken 14th. All three became legit NBA starters, with Fox and Bam becoming an all-star. Even bench guys like Diallo and Gabriel found roles in the league. Briscoe and Mulder went the international and G League route, and others pursued pro careers outside the NBA. This squad played like an NBA feeder team, with elite athleticism, offensive firepower, and a system built to showcase talent. The freshman class carried the load like seasoned vets, and their production mirrored what you'd expect from pro-level contributors. The fact that multiple players from this one roster not only reached the NBA, but stuck around makes this team one of the more NBA-like squads of the past decade. 2016 Villanova. This group didn't just win a championship, they sent a whole rotation into the pros. They went 35-5, dominated the Big East with 16 wins, and finished 6th in the national poll. Jay Wright coached a system built on discipline, spacing, and efficient execution, and it showed all year. In the title game, Chris Jenkins buried a three-pointer at the buzzer to beat North Carolina 77-74. Ryan Archidiak and now set it up and was named the tournament's most outstanding player. The team averaged close to 78 points while giving up only 64, and their efficiency metrics were some of the best in the nation. The core group included Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Chris Jenkins, Ryan Archie, and Daniel Ochefu. Brunson was a freshman and would go on to become an NBA All-Star. Hart turned into a versatile NBA wing. Devo came off the bench and became a first-round pick. Mikal Bridges wasn't active in the tournament, but was on the roster and would later become a top 10 pick. Brunson was drafted 33rd overall. Bridges went 10th. Devo and Hart were also drafted and turned into consistent NBA players. Arcidiacono went undrafted, but carved out a real NBA career. Ochefu had a brief run in the league too. 5 players from this squad played in the NBA for multiple seasons. They'd all end up on the Knicks somehow also. What set them apart was how balanced and professional their play style felt. They weren't flashy. They were clinical. They made smart plays, stayed in control, and ran an offense that looked like it was ripped straight from an NBA playbook. Jay Wright's leadership helped turn a solid roster into a pro-level machine. When your college team sends that many guys to the league, you know you're watching something special. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, 2008, UCLA. This squad wasn't just deep, it had star power all over the court. They won 35 games, took both the Pac-10, regular season, and tournament titles, and made their 3rd straight Final Four. Their defense was elite, holding teams to under 60 points per game, while putting up over 73 themselves. Kevin Love, a freshman, led the way. He scored over 17 points and grabbed 10 boards a game while shooting more than 55%. He had 23 double-doubles and never scored under 10 all year. Then you had Russell Westbrook, who filled the stat sheet and locked people down. He averaged nearly 13 points and 4 assists while winning Pac-10 Defensive Player of the Year. Darren Collison ran the offense, added about 15 points a game, and took home the conference tournament MVP. Josh Shipp and Luke Richard Amute gave them steady scoring and defensive balance. This core made the Bruins one of the toughest two-way teams in the country. Love was drafted 5th and went on to become an NBA champion and multiple-time All-Star. Westbrook went 4th and became a league MVP and triple-double machine. Collison had a decade-long run as a starting point guard. Amute brought defense to every team he played for in the league. Shipp wasn't drafted, but played professionally overseas. Even Michael Roll and Alfred Aboya continued in pro basketball internationally. This roster had 2 top 5 picks, veteran leadership, a suffocating defense, and a system that maximized each player's strengths. They beat ranked teams all year and shut down opponents with clinical efficiency. You don't reach 3 straight Final Fours without serious talent, and this group had a roster that looked and played like it belonged in the NBA. 2019, Duke. This team was stacked with top-tier talent that didn't just dominate college basketball. It sent 3 freshmen into the top 10 picks of the NBA draft. Duke finished 32-6, went 14-4 in the ACA, and won the conference tournament before falling in the Elite 8 by 1 point. That loss ended a run where they were ranked number 1 in the final regular season poll. Zion Williamson was the face of the team, averaging over 22 points, leading the nation in efficiency and earning ACC Player of the Year and Tournament MVP. R.J. Barrett matched him in scoring and totaled over 850 points, one of the highest marks in Duke history. Both were consensus All-Americans as freshmen. That had never happened for 2 first-year teammates. Cam Reddish added nearly 14 a game and brought versatility on both ends. Trey Jones, the team's floor general, averaged over 5 assists and played high-level defense. That freshman core drove Duke's fast tempo and national relevance from day one. In the 2019 draft, Zion went number 1 to New Orleans. Barrett was taken 3rd by New York. Reddish went 10th to Atlanta. Duke became one of only 2 schools ever with 3 top 10 picks in a single draft. Trey Jones declared a year later and became a first-rounder in 2020. Marques Bolden also pursued an NBA career, picking up summer league invites and signing 2-way deals. Other players like Joey Baker and Alex O'Connell provided role minutes and depth. This Duke squad was unique. 3 lottery picks, a future NBA starter at point guard, and a system built to showcase explosive talent. When a college team sends that much talent straight into the NBA lottery, it looks a lot like a pro team wearing college jerseys. 2012 Kentucky. This team didn't just win, they overwhelmed. They went 38-2, swept the SEC at 16-0, and capped it off with a national championship win over Kansas, 67-59. They were ranked number 1 at the end of the season and led the country in blocked shots, anchored by one of the most dominant freshmen ever. Anthony Davis was the engine. He averaged over 14 points, 10 rebounds, and nearly 5 blocks a game. He broke the NCAA freshman blocks record with 186 and won almost every major national award. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist chipped in almost 12 points and over 7 rebounds a night with elite defense and was a consensus second-team All-American. Terrence Jones and Doran Lamb both averaged double figures and brought versatility. Marco Teague ran the point and led the team in assists, while Darius Miller gave steady production as the 6th man. Even Kyle Wiltjer added value off the bench. In the 2012 draft, 6 players from this roster were selected. Davis went 1st overall, Kidd-Gilchrist went 2nd, and Jones, Teague, Lamb, and Miller all followed. No other college team had ever sent that many players into one draft. Davis became an NBA champion and multiple-time All-Star. Kidd-Gilchrist played as a defensive specialist. Jones had solid years with Houston. Teague and Lamb had NBA and overseas careers. Miller returned from Europe and won a title with Boston. They were efficient on offense, brutal on defense, and never lost a single SEC game. The starting 5 could all score, all defend, and all had a pro-ready build and style. With 6 future NBA picks and a defense built around one of the best rim protectors in college history, this Kentucky team looked, played, and produced like an NBA squad from day one. 2012, North Carolina. This team was loaded with talent from top to bottom. They finished 32-6, won the ACC regular season at 14-2, and were ranked 4th in the final national poll. Their scoring average of 81.3 points per game was 3rd best in the country. The starting 5 was built like a draft board. Harrison Barnes led the team in scoring with over 17 a game. Tyler Zeller averaged 16 points and nearly 10 boards. John Henson added almost 14 and 10 with elite rim protection. Kendall Marshall ran the show, dishing nearly 10 assists per game, leading all of Division I. Reggie Bullock chipped in close to 9 points and 5 rebounds, giving them perimeter depth and defense. James Michael McAdoo and PJ Hairston gave solid minutes off the bench. Strickland, White, and others rounded out a rotation that could hang with anyone, but when Marshall went down with a broken wrist during the tournament, it shifted the whole balance. They still reached the Elite Eight, but lost to Kansas, 87-73. This team sent 6 players into the NBA draft. 4 went in the first round of the 2012 draft. Barnes, 7th, Marshall, 13th, Henson, 14th, and Zeller, 17th. Reggie Bullock and PJ Hairston were picked in the first round the following 2 years. Barnes became an NBA champion with Golden State. Zeller and Henson logged solid NBA careers in the front court. Bullock turned into a reliable 3-and-D wing. Marshall had a run as a pass-first point guard, and Hairston made appearances before going overseas. With 6 future first-round picks and elite production on both ends of the floor, this UNC squad played with the size, skill, and depth of a pro team. Their resume matched their talent. 1992 Michigan. This team changed everything, not just with talent, but with identity. They went 24-8, reached the national championship game, and started 5 freshmen for the first time in Final Four history. That group became known as the Fab Five, and their run, though later vacated, still ranks as one of the most iconic in NCAA history. Chris Webber was the centerpiece, leading the team in rebounds and becoming Big Ten Freshman of the Year. Jalen Rose was the top scorer and set freshman records for points and minutes at Michigan. Juwan Howard provided strength inside and became the 3rd leading scorer. Jimmy King and Ray Jackson rounded out the starting line, each contributing to the team's tempo, spacing, and athleticism. Behind them, Eric Riley offered veteran size off the bench, and Rob Pelinka, a backup guard, would later become the Lakers' general manager. This team was never outside the top 25 in the polls and held their own in a brutal Big Ten, going 11-7 in conference play. In the NBA draft, Webber went number 1 overall in 1993. Rose and Howard were top picks the following year. King was taken in the 2nd round, and Riley had his own NBA career, even winning a championship with Houston. Jackson played professionally overseas. Pelinka didn't play in the league, but ended up shaping it off the court. The Fab Five brought swagger, size, and future all-star talent to college hoops in a way nobody had seen. 4 of them reached the NBA. Their combination of youth, skill, and postseason success gave them the kind of profile you'd expect from a pro team. They didn't just look NBA ready, they were NBA bound, and it showed in every game they played. 2015 Kentucky. This team was a factory line of future pros. They went 38-1, finished number 1 in the final poll, won both as SEC titles, and came 1 game short of perfection. Their only loss? Wisconsin in the Final Four. But the season before that was nothing short of dominant. They had so much talent. John Calipari used a platoon system, rotating entire groups of 5 like hockey line. Karl Anthony Towns was a freshman and a force inside. Willie Cauley-Stein anchored the defense as a junior. Devin Booker lit it up from deep off the bench. Trey Lyles, Aaron and Andrew Harrison, Dakari Johnson, and Tyler Ulis all played real minutes. Even the bench had NBA talent. This wasn't a college team. It was an audition reel for the league. Aaron Harrison led them in scoring at around 11 points a game, but the key was balance. They spread it around. Towns controlled the paint. Booker was a sniper, and Ulis ran the second unit like a pro. They held opponents under 60 points a game and often won by 20 plus. In the 2015 NBA draft, 6 players from this team were selected. Towns went number 1, Cauley-Stein 6th, Lyles 12th, and Booker 13th. That's 4 lottery picks. Andrew Harrison and Dakari Johnson also heard their names. Ulis and Poitras followed a year later. Towns became an NBA All-Star and franchise centerpiece. Booker turned into one of the league's top scorers. Lyles and Cauley Stein played key roles across multiple teams. This roster had size, depth, skill, and defensive efficiency. No player averaged more than 12 points, but they didn't need to. Everyone could contribute, and most of them ended up in the NBA. This wasn't just a stacked college team. It was a draft class in uniform. 1997 Kansas. This team had the record, the rankings, and the roster to rival any in college basketball history. They finished 34-2, won both the Big 12 regular season and tournament titles, and ended the season ranked number 1 in the AP poll for the first time in program history. They scored nearly 85 a game, second most in the country, and held opponents to just over 66. Their starting five and rotation were packed with future NBA players and elite college veterans. Sophomore Paul Pierce led the team in scoring. Junior Ralph LaFrentz was a first-team All-American, giving them size and shooting. Jock Vaughn, a senior, was one of the nation's best floor generals. Scott Pollard brought interior toughness and rebounding. Add in Ryan Robertson, Billy Thomas, and Jared Hillis, and this was a deep, balanced, and experienced group. They opened the season with 22 straight wins and set a school record with 29 regular season victories. They rolled through the Big 12 and dominated in the conference tournament. But in the NC to AA tournament, they were stunned in the Sweet 16 by Arizona, a team that went on to win the national title. Still, the roster's pro pedigree speaks for itself. 4 players were taken in the NBA draft: Pierce, 10th overall, LaFrentz, 3rd overall, Vaughn, 27th, and Pollard, 19th. Others like Billy Thomas and Ryan Robertson also made it to the league. That's 6 future pros from one college team. Pierce became an 11-time All-Star and NBA champion. LaFrentz was a top 3 pick with a long NBA career. Vaughn played and coached in the league. Pollard was a key big on multiple playoff teams. They had shooting, size, veteran guards, and future stars. A college team in name, but by every measurable standard, they looked and played like a professional squad. 2007 Florida. They brought back every starter from the year before and ran it back like they were allergic to change. 35 wins, 5 losses, and they tore through the SEC with 13 wins to just 3 losses. Florida didn't just survive March Madness, they crushed it. Ranked 3rd in the country going in, they steamrolled their way to another national title, ending with a win over Ohio State, 84-75. Billy Donovan coached like he was running an NBA development camp. The starting 5, straight out of a scout's dream. Al Horford did everything in the paint and somehow got better every time you watched. Joakim Noah was flying around like someone stole his lunch money, rebounding, blocking, setting the tone. Corey Brewer locked guys down, hit big shots, and took home the most outstanding player in the final. Torian Green kept it steady at point, while Lee Humphrey just casually became the best shooter in the entire tournament. The bench, Maurice Spites, Chris Richard, Walter Hodge. That's not normal college depth. That's someone messed up in recruiting kind of talent. By the time the NBA draft rolled around, Horford went 3rd, Brewer went 7th, and Noah went 9th. Green and Richard also got drafted, and everyone played professionally somewhere. Horford turned into a multiple-time All-Star and grabbed a title in 2024. Noah racked up awards for his defense and leadership, while Brewer played meaningful minutes on a bunch of teams. No other team since Duke in the early 90s had repeated with the same group. That lineup didn't just win, it aged well. The stats were balanced, the roles were defined, and they made history while making it look casual. Florida became the blueprint for what a complete college team could be. 1960 Ohio State. That team was a machine. They finished the year with 25 wins and only 3 losses, dominating the Big Ten with 13 wins to just 1 loss. They didn't just lead the nation in scoring, they were dropping over 90 points per game in an era where that was nearly unheard of. Fast breaks, outlet passes, non-stop movement. They didn't grind it out. They ran teams off the court, and the lineup stacked. Jerry Lucas was the star, cleaning the glass and hitting shots at a wild clip. He averaged over 26 points and 16 rebounds, and he wasn't even a senior. Then there was John Havlicek, who stepped up as a starter and gave them hustle, scoring, and sharp defense. Larry Siegfried handled the ball, scored when needed, and played tough on the perimeter. Mel Nowell could light it up as a scorer, and Joe Roberts helped break presses and keep things steady. Off the bench was Bob Knight, not exactly an NBA legend, but later one of the most decorated coaches in college basketball history. In the tournament, Ohio State crushed teams. When they got to the title game, they shut down California and rolled to a 75-55 win. Lucas took home the most outstanding player, and did it all without looking like he broke a sweat. And after college, Lucas became a 7-time NBA All-Star and Hall of Famer. Havlicek had a Hall of Fame career with the Celtics and racked up titles. Siegfried also grabbed championships at the pro level. Nowell and Roberts both went pro, and that entire starting lineup found its way into the professional ranks. They didn't just play like pros, they became pros. That team moved like it knew something the rest didn't. 2008 Kansas. They finished with 37 wins and just 3 losses, tied for the Big 12 regular season crown, and then snagged the conference tournament title too. Bill Self was in his 5th season, and that squad turned into a full-blown problem for everyone. Kansas came into the tournament as the number 1 seed in the Midwest and didn't waste the opportunity. The championship game went to overtime, and they pulled out a 75-68 win over Memphis, one of the most dramatic finishes in tournament history. The rotation was ridiculously deep. Brandon Rush led the team in scoring and made the All-Big 12 first team. Darrell Arthur brought size and skill inside, and he joined Rush on that first team list. Mario Chalmers was the one who hit the game-tying 3, earned Most Outstanding Player, and gave Kansas one of its most iconic moments ever. Russell Robinson locked up opposing guards, and Darnell Jackson bruised people in the paint. Then came the bench. Sharon Collins didn't start, but he was the spark every time he stepped on the court. Sasha Khan protected the rim, and veterans like Roderick Stewart and Jeremy Case brought steady leadership. The defense forced turnovers, collapsed on drives, and fed their transition attack. They averaged over 80 points a game and could beat you inside, outside, in transition, or by just running you into the ground. That team sent 5 players to the NBA in 2008. Rush went 13th, Arthur 27th, Chalmers 34th, Jackson 52nd, and Kahn 56th. Chalmers went on to win 2 NBA titles with the Heat. Kansas didn't just win that year, they checked every box. Star talent, pro potential, depth, chemistry, coaching. That team had everything, and they proved it on the biggest stage. 2001 Duke. They went 35-4, ran through the ACC with 13 wins, and finished ranked number 1 in the country. By the time the tournament ended, they were national champions again, taking down Arizona 82-72 in the title game. This was Coach K's 21st season, and he had a group stacked with talent that moved like pros and scored like one of those video game teams no one wants to play against. Shane Battier led the team, a senior who defended everything, hit threes, and barely made mistakes. Jason Williams was a scoring machine, slicing through defenders and dropping threes like he had a cheat code. Mike Dunleavy Jr. stretched the floor, Carlos Boozer banged inside, and Nate James held it together with the leadership and gritty two-way play. Even when Boozer got hurt late in the year, the lineup adjusted. Chris Duhon, a freshman, stepped in and ran the point like a vet, giving Duke a faster lineup that stayed just as dangerous. Their offense poured in nearly 91 points a game, and they set an NCAA record for threes attempted and made in a season. In the tournament, they didn't just win, they destroyed. They knocked off Monmouth, Missouri, UCLA, USC, Maryland, and Arizona. Battier was named Most Outstanding Player, and deserved it. The NBA talent was thick. Battier went 6th overall in 2001. Williams went 2nd the next year. Dunleavy Jr. went 3rd. Boozer fell to 34th and still became a 2-time All-Star. Duhon played years in the league as a floor general. That team looked like an NBA roster for a reason, because most of them became exactly that. Big-time scorers, multiple stars, and national dominance. Duke wasn't just good, they were built to last. 1983 Houston, they won 31 games, lost just 3, and didn't drop a single one in conference play. They were number 1 in the final poll, ran a 26-game win streak, and averaged over 82 points a game. That season was the high point of the Phi Slama Jama era, a team built to run, dunk, and dismantle opponents with athleticism. Hakeem was only a sophomore, but already blocking 5 shots a night, while pulling down rebounds like it was his job, because soon it would be. He averaged close to 14 points and earned Most Outstanding Player of the tournament, even though they didn't win the title. Clyde Drexler was everywhere, scoring, rebounding, defending, and left early for the NBA after putting up All-American numbers. Michael Young led the team in scoring. Larry Michaud handled rebounding and post-play, and the rest of the rotation, guys like Reed Geddes, Alvin Franklin, and Benny Anders, kept the tempo up and the defense tight. They were flashy, but disciplined enough to win 16 straight in the Southwest Conference and take the conference tournament too. They got through the tournament, beating Maryland, Memphis State, Villanova, and then Louisville in a Final Four game that looked more like an NBA All-Star dunk contest. Then came the loss. NC State stole the title with a last-second putback dunk, 54-52, in one of the biggest upsets in NCAA history. Hakeem went first overall the next year. Drexler went 14th. Both became Hall of Famers and NBA champions. Young and Michaud also played professionally. That team didn't just look like pros. They changed the way college basketball looked. Up-tempo, above the rim, and built for more than just March. They were an era, not just a team. 1955 San Francisco. They finished with 28 wins, just one loss, and went undefeated in conference play. The Dons weren't just winning, they were dismantling teams. They ended the season ranked number 1 in both major polls, then rolled through the NCAA tournament and took the national title with a 77-63 win over LaSalle. This was the first of back-to-back championships, and they did it with a roster that looked more like a future all-star team than a college squad. Bill Russell was the anchor, scoring over 20 a game, grabbing everything off the glass, and swatting shots into orbit. He was named the tournament's most outstanding player and made first-team All-American. K.C. Jones handled the ball, locked down opposing guards, and dropped 24 points in the title game. Jerry Mullen chipped in 10, and Hal Perry gave them scoring from the wing and strong defense. Stan Buchanan started every game, played tough inside, and made his mark as a dependable defender and rebounder. The team's style was simple but brutal. Control the boards, score in transition, and grind teams down with length and physicality. They beat Utah, Oregon State, and Colorado before knocking off LaSalle in the final. Russell put up 23 in that game, and they held LaSalle's Tom Gola, a 3-time All-American, to just 16. Russell went on to win 11 NBA titles with Boston. K.C. Jones joined him and added 5 more. Mullen was drafted too, and Perry played with the Globetrotters before going into law. This was the beginning of a 60-game win streak and a blueprint for what a dominant college team looked like. Depth, defense, stars, titles. The Dons had all of it before most teams even figured out how to keep up. 1968, UCLA. They won 29 games, dropped just one, and went undefeated in their conference. They didn't just win the title, they crushed North Carolina 78-55 in the championship game. That was John Wooden's 4th title in 5 years, and this squad was led by a sophomore who would end up rewriting basketball history. Lou Alcindor, who later became Kareem, dominated every possession. He scored 34 in the title game, pulled down 16 rebounds, and made it all look easy. This was the season after the NCAA banned dunking, and he still couldn't be stopped. He was named Most Outstanding Player of the tournament and was already the best player in the country. Lucius Allen brought stability in the backcourt, scoring and managing the offense while defending at a high level. Mike Lynn held down the forward spot and made enough impact to be drafted. Mike Warren and Edgar Lacey also added experience and length, with Lacey leaving mid-season but still getting drafted. Their only loss came in the Astrodome to Houston, a game called the Game of the Century. But when they got a second shot at them in the Final Four, UCLA blew the doors off, 101-69. The offense was high speed and disciplined, averaging over 93 points a game, ranking near the top of the nation. Alcindor got all the attention, but the team around him was built to win. Alcindor went first, overall, in the NBA draft later in his career, and became one of the best players the league has ever seen. Lynn, Lacey, and Warren all got drafted too. This team didn't just win a title, they avenged a loss, reasserted their dominance, and featured a center who was already playing like a pro. 1992, Duke. They went 34-2, took the top spot in both national polls, and won the national title by 20 points. That was back-to-back championships, something no team had done since UCLA's golden years. Coach K had a veteran core and NBA-level talent across the board. They weren't just loaded, they were polished. Christian Laettner ran the show up front. He hit the shot against Kentucky, the turnaround jumper at the buzzer in the Elite Eight that still lives in highlight reels. He was National Player of the Year, NCAA All-Tournament Most Outstanding Player, and the only college guy selected for the Dream Team. Bobby Hurley kept the tempo up, dropped dimes all over the floor, and hit timely shots. Grant Hill did everything. He defended, he slashed, he rebounded, and he could guard every position. Thomas Hill and Brian Davis gave the wings muscle and speed. Off the bench came Antonio Lang and Cherokee Parks, young, athletic, and already built like pros. They beat Michigan's Fab Five in the title game, 71-51, and shut the door with experience and execution. Hurley had 22 points. Laettner was efficient, and the defense overwhelmed the Wolverines. Leitner went 3rd overall in the draft. Hill went 3rd 2 years later and became a Hall of Famer. Parks was a lottery pick. Brian Davis, Thomas Hill, Antonio Lang, and Eric Meek all got drafted or played professionally. They weren't just champions, they were top to bottom a pro pipeline. The system worked, the chemistry clicked, the coaching was elite, and with a team that deep, Duke made college basketball look like a dress rehearsal for the NBA. They had the talent, the titles, and the moment that defined a generation. If you enjoyed this, I'm going to be posting a lot here. I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.